Chapter 5104. Of course, if she met a kind-hearted person along the way, she would hitch a ride. Fortunately, she was a demon hunter with cultivation. If she was an ordinary person, she might have met with danger. I do. Bai Yumming took out a wallet. Taking me in is still useful, right? I told you, I'm very familiar with the places where humans live. Then lead the way. Tang Guo did not stand on ceremony with Bai Yumming. It was good to have this demon leading the way. Although Bai Yumming knew where Tang Guo was going, she still asked. With Bai Yumming leading the way, it took them 2 days to arrive at the Lin family's villa. Before they arrived, Tang Guo had already called the Lin family. So, as soon as they arrived, a helper came to open the door. Are you Miss Tang? The helper asked politely. Tang Guo nodded. Yes. The helper looked at Bai Yumming for a moment, but did not look at her for long. She invited Tang Guo in. After entering, Tang Guo's mother was sitting on the sofa. When she saw Tang Guo, she stood up and looked at her. Seeing her wearing a simple robe, she nodded to her reservedly. Have you taken care of your master's funeral? Yes. Now, you can rest assured and stay here. When he comes back, we will discuss the engagement party. Mrs. Tang took Tang Guo's hand enthusiastically. This was her son's life-saving talisman. The sooner he married her, the better. Tang Guo did not reply. She only said, Master asked me to protect Lin Yikai's life before he died. This is my mission. Auntie Lin, don't worry. I won't let him die. By the way, when will he be back? He went hiking with his friends. I don't know when he will be back. Mrs. Tang did not mind. Tang Guo was very direct. She had heard many polite words. Tang Guo fell into deep thought. She looked at Bai Yumming. Bai Yumming was also surprised. He did not come back from hiking. What was going on? Could it be that the story was different in this life? Tang Guo didn't panic. If Lin Yikai died, it didn't matter. Her master wanted to preserve the bloodline of the Lin family. If he really died, she would think of a way to let Lin Fu and Lin Mu give birth to another child, which would be considered as fulfilling her master's instructions. Bai Yumming was even less flustered. Her feelings for Lin Yikai had already ended when he personally killed him. If he didn't come back, he was most likely eaten by the python. Tang Guo and Bai Yumming didn't say anything, nor did they have any intention of reminding him. They just stayed in the Lin family with peace of mind. Lin's mother didn't ask who Bai Yumming was. She guessed that Bai Yumming must be from the Tang Guo sect. The Lin family was a big family, so it didn't matter if one more person ate. Master, did you come down the mountain to marry Lin Yikai? Bai Yumming asked. Tang Guo nodded lightly. This is the marriage arranged by Master. Master, do you like him? What is like? Bai Yumming said, that means you don't like him. If you don't like him, why do you want to get married? Your master's intention is for you to preserve the bloodline of the Lin family. There's no need for you to get married, right? Also, if Lin Yikai has other women, will you still marry him? Tang Guo shook her head. Of course not. This Lin Yikai has a lot of women around him. I've checked for you. This guy is not suitable to be your marriage partner. Bai Yumming skillfully operated her phone and showed some of Lin Yikai's ambiguous photos to Tang Guo. Look, the two of them are so close together, and there are so many different women. This kind of person is not clean. Tang Guo nodded seriously. Indeed, he is not clean. So, Master, why do you have to wrong yourself to marry him? Can't you just keep his life? Bai Yumming continued to sow discord. If you ask me, this Lin family is very insincere. You have been engaged since you were young, but the Lin family didn't care about Lin Ikai picking up girls outside. They don't respect you at all, and they are still so brazen. The Peak. Chapter 5105. If the master's master was still alive and knew that Lin Ikai was such a playboy, would he still agree to the master's marriage with him? Bai Yuming was probably afraid that Tang Guo couldn't make a decision at the moment and simply took drastic measures. She believed that it wouldn't happen. Tang Guo pretended to think for a while and shook her head, no. Although the master of the original owner divined that Lin Ikai's fate would have a disaster, but there was no way to calculate what kind of disaster it would be. The marriage was not entirely to return the favor of the Lin couple, but because he felt that he might only be able to survive in this world for more than 10 years. At that time, he happened to see Lin Ikai and helped him to do a divination. Using this matter and this idea, he still hoped that she wouldn't be so lonely, and that after he left, there would be someone to take care of her. In his opinion, Tang Guo and Lin Ikai were married, and they would be husband and wife. They would support each other and fight against hardships together, which was a good thing. Unfortunately, his skills weren't enough, so he couldn't calculate more things. If he knew that Lin Ikai not only didn't take care of the original owner, but also let her suffer and finally took her life, he would never have made this decision. That's right, master. Marriage is a big thing in life, you have to think carefully. People like Lin Ikai are too playful, and not suitable for you. Bai Yuming flipped through a lot of Lin Ikai's gossip for Tang Guo to see. When Tang Guo said that she would consider this matter, Bai Yuming finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that her sowing discord had some effect. The next day, Tang Guo pretended to understand this matter and went to the Lin couple to talk about canceling the marriage. Of course, she did a good job of preparing. She got Lin Ikai's gossip and intimate photos. Perhaps, when Lin's mother saw this, she would regret letting her use her phone. What? You want to cancel the marriage with Ikai? No. Lin's mother stood up and looked at Tang Guo in shock. This is something your master decided, how can it be cancelled just like that? Whether Lin Ikai was alive or dead, Tang Guo had to do this immediately. She guessed that Lin Ikai would definitely come back, and he would definitely not cancel the marriage. In order to avoid being delayed by the other party, she wanted to see if she could cancel the marriage first. Xiao Guo, if there's anything you're not satisfied with, you can say it directly. Lin's father said, there's no need to cancel the marriage, this is not a child's play. If he knows that you're doing this, he probably won't be able to sleep. Although this couple's mother's mother, for the sake of their sons, they would still threaten her. She was obviously using her master to tie her up. Perhaps someone else might have succeeded, but it definitely wouldn't work on her. Uncle Lin's, if my master is, he would still agree. I was raised by him, and he loves me very much. If he knows that my future husband is a playboy who messes around outside and is not clean, he will definitely cancel this marriage immediately. There will be no room for negotiation. Tang Guo followed the original owner's straightforward personality and handed the phone to the two of them. She slowly scrolled through the pictures and videos. Some of the pictures were made for her by the system, so there was no problem with the clarity. Lin's parents were speechless when they saw these pictures and videos. They couldn't even find an explanation. The main thing was that the pictures were too clear. Chapter 5106. If it were just one or two photos, they could still say that it was a misunderstanding. But this series of photos, from the bar to the dance floor to the entrance of the hotel, and with all kinds of different women, made their faces turn red. After all, they were well-known figures. It was indeed embarrassing for someone to take photos of their son's romantic past. Lin Ikai was usually very flirtatious. They were not related. He was his only son, and he never brought any random person home. Such things were common in the circle. Besides, their son was already an adult. They couldn't let him not have a girlfriend, right? In their hearts, they still felt that a girl like Tangwa, who grew up in the mountains, was easy to bully and deceive. Marrying her into the family was just to give their son a life-saving talisman. As for their son's personal life, it was still the same. As long as he didn't bring her home, it would be fine. Now that things were out, Tangwa didn't seem to be so easy to deceive. She obviously still cared about this matter. I prefer people who are clean. Although many people have a past, Lin Kai has too much of it. In addition, Uncle Lin, Auntie Lin, you just said that the marriage between me and Lin Kai was decided by my master and the two of you. At that time, we were still young, only a few years old. No matter what, from the moment this marriage was decided, we were an unmarried couple. When the Lin couple heard this, they felt a headache coming on. Since we were an unmarried couple, he actually fooled around with different women during this period. Look at this dance floor, where did he touch? Also, they went to the hotel every time. I'm not a fool. You should know why we went to the hotel. After saying so much, I still have to say the same thing. I have to cancel this marriage. Even if you don't agree, you can't force us to get married, right? The Lin couple looked at each other. They really couldn't. This time, I came down the mountain to see how Lin Kai is doing, and also to see you. Then, I have to complete the task that my master gave me. He said that Lin Kai had a robbery in his life that might have cost him his life. Don't worry. Even if this marriage is cancelled, my master promised you that he would protect the bloodline of your Lin family. I will still do that. As soon as Tangwa finished speaking, Mama Lin hurriedly interjected, "Are you serious?" If Tangwa was still willing to protect her son, it did not matter whether they were married or not. Of course it's true. My master is a cultivator, and his words are monitored by the heavenly Tao. Since he asked me to do this, I will definitely do it. Therefore, my marriage with Lin Kai is cancelled. However, I will still live in your house until Lin Kai's tribulation is over. Mr. and Mrs. Lin looked at each other. They didn't doubt what Tangwa said. After all, they had contacted her master. He had promised them 3 things, and he had done 2 of them. Now, there was only one thing left. Xiaogua, since you and Ikai are not compatible, we can't force you. As the saying goes, a forcibly picked melon is not sweet. No matter how we force you, it's useless. After getting Tangwa's promise, Mama Lin's words sounded better. In the future, you can live here with peace of mind and treat it as your own home. If you need anything, just ask. Don't be polite. I will. Tangwa's words were still very direct. This made the couple feel at ease. Peak. Chapter 5107. This was good too. They could help Lin Kai with his marriage. Perhaps they could even form a strong alliance. Uncle Lin, Auntie Lin, since you feel that there is no problem, why don't you return the token that my master left for you to me? This way, we can consider this marriage annulled. Tangwa said. She took out a box and opened it gently. There was a beautiful gem lying inside. This is the token of engagement you gave me. Now, I will return it to you. This time, Father Lin and Mother Lin were very straightforward. Both parties took back the token and considered this marriage annulled. It was as if it never existed. The reason why they did not know about Lin Kai was because they knew their son well. He did not like this fiancée whom he had only met once when he was young. They looked forward to this marriage because they hoped that someone would help Lin Kai get through that calamity. Now that there was no problem, what were they worried about? Lin Kai did not want this marriage in the first place. Annulling it was probably to his liking. Tangua settled this matter and her attitude towards the two became friendlier. Bai Yuming heard this process and cheered in her heart. Good, good. After her tireless efforts, she had finally destroyed this ill-fated relationship. It was really worth celebrating. Ah. Lin Kai had not returned yet. Could he have died in the mouth of that python? She had no intention of seeking revenge from the python. Speaking of which, the hatred between them originated from Lin Kai. She killed the python, and the python's family killed her. The grudge was considered settled. It was better not to have any entanglements in this life. Speaking of which, they were all demons. For them to kill each other because of a human, it was Lin Kai's fault for coming to the territory of the demons and seeking his own death. I will be staying with the Lin family from now on. Little White Rabbit, have you recovered from your injuries? Tangua asked. Bai Yuming said vaguely, not yet. Also, I want to stay here a little longer. I haven't played enough. Master, you are not familiar with the human world. Just stay by my side. If there is anything you want to go or play, you can let me help. That's true. I'm not familiar with this place, so I'll keep you by my side for the time being. Tangua took out a bracelet and said, refine this and wear it. It'll be able to restrain your monster chi, and those monster hunters won't be able to discover your identity. It'll also be much more convenient if you want to go out and play. Thank you, Master. I won't stand on ceremony. I really need it. Bai Yuming happily picked up the bracelet and put it on her wrist. In her heart, she thought that if she had known that following a demon catcher would be so beneficial, she would have directly gone to look for this simple-minded demon catcher in her previous life and the life before that. She must have been hammered in the head to actually believe in love between humans. Looking at how heartless Lin Kai was to her in her previous life, she would not repeat the same mistake. Wouldn't it be better for her to find a male bunny and marry him when she was done playing and going home? She was very popular among the bunnies, and there were so many brave bunnies who liked her. How could that Lin Kai compare to her? Tangua did not know what Bai Yuming was thinking. She gave her the bracelet because she was afraid that Bai Yuming would slip out to play and be killed by other demon catchers. Her current strength was not enough. If she could not make it in time, she would not be able to save her. You go play by yourself. I'm going to cultivate. This world did not seem to be dangerous for the time being, but she could not rule out some accidents. Since there was a special energy here, she had to increase her strength first. On the 5th day after arriving at the Lin family, Lin Kai still had not returned. The Lin couple tried to contact Lin Kai, but found that they could not reach him this time. Peak. Chapter 5108. The Lin couple also tried to contact the people who went out with Lin Kai, but they couldn't get in touch either. Only then did they know that the other party's family had already called the police. The next day, the people who went out with Lin Kai were all found, except for Lin Kai. It was said that they walked into a forest and somehow got lost. There was no signal, no navigation, and even a compass didn't work. They couldn't tell the direction at all. Moreover, there was a lot of fog in that forest. It was at that time that they got separated from Lin Kai. Bai Yuming sat on the side and heard what the Lin couple said to Tangua. In her heart, she determined that Lin Kai most likely broke into the enchantment. The others were lucky and accidentally broke out. If they were the same as Lin Kai, they would most likely be dead by now. Bai Yuming counted with her slender white fingers. She didn't know if Lin Kai was dead or not. She remembered that when she saved Lin Kai, he was already entangled by the python. He probably died long ago, right? It was also possible that he didn't die. After all, Lin Kai's body was strange. Bai Yuming frowned and sighed. The Lin couple thought that she was worried, so their gazes softened. Although this little girl ate and drank for free in their house, she still had a conscience. She was also someone who followed Tanghua. Most likely, she also had some magic. Maybe she could help find their son. Xiaogua, can you help us find Ikai? Mother Lin's eyes were red. I don't know where he ran to. There was no signal and no trace at all. There are already people searching around. We also chartered a helicopter to check the situation. But that forest is full of fog. It's impossible to see clearly. We can only search bit by bit. We've already searched for 2 days, but there's still no trace. Tanghua said, Auntie Lin, don't worry. I'll go out and look for him. He might have accidentally entered the enchantment. No matter how many people you have, you won't be able to find him. Then I'll arrange for some people to follow you. Papa Lin said that all his hopes were on Tanghua now. He was much calmer than Mama Lin. When we find this brat, we'll immediately let him take over the company. After so many years, it's time for him to settle down. He always likes to run around when he has nothing to do. He doesn't even know when he'll lose his life. The two of them felt bitter in their hearts. It seemed that their son's calamity was caused by themselves. There's no need for that. They won't be of much help and will even drag me down. Just wait outside. That day, the 4 of them took a helicopter over. This was Father Lin's arrangement. When they arrived at the forest where Lin Ikai's companions were separated, she had Lin Fu and Lin Mu wait outside. She didn't really care about Lin Ikai's life or death. She just wanted to see if that guy had been reborn and what he was experiencing now. She could already feel the existence of the enchantment. This kind of enchantment was just child's play in her eyes. She quickly passed through the enchantment with Bai Yumming. Bai Yumming walked past a familiar place and stopped for a while. Not far away, there were 2 trees. It was the place where she had saved Lin Ikai. There was obviously no fighting here. This meant that Lin Ikai was either eaten by the python or taken away by it. What Tanghua's master learned were all orthodox Taoist techniques, so she also knew them. Especially when it came to finding people. She didn't use her own method, but used the method used by the original owner. Before coming in, she took Papa Lin and Mama Lin's hair and used it to find Lin Ikai's direction. She used the 2 people's hair to make a small guide and folded it into a guiding paper crane. After entering the enchantment, the paper crane flew from her hand. Peek. Chapter 5109. The paper crane brought Tanghua into the depths of the cave. However, Bai Yumming was a bit hesitant. The aura inside the cave made her feel a bit scared. To have such a feeling, it meant that there was a powerful demonic beast that was unconsciously releasing its aura as a warning to outsiders that this was the other party's territory and that they were not allowed to invade. But when she thought about the fact that there was a monster hunter next to her, and that she was wearing a bracelet, she instantly felt scared. So what if she was a scary monster? The person walking next to her was a monster hunter. If a monster smelled the aura of a monster hunter, wouldn't it tremble in fear? Before long, a huge cave appeared in front of Tanghua. Looking in from the outside, it was completely dark. She didn't need to go in. She could already feel the aura of monsters inside. If you don't like these things, you can wait here. No, I'll stay with you. It's safer. If I wait outside, what if other monsters see a little white rabbit like me and eat me? I'm still young, and I don't want to die. Bai Yumming really didn't want to die. Thinking about it, she had let down her family the most in her previous 2 lives. She didn't know how worried her family would be after she secretly left. After this matter was over, she would go back and find the most handsome and powerful warrior among the bunnies. Then, she would get married, give birth to a nest of bunnies, and live a peaceful and warm life with her family. She would never come to the human world again. Fine, follow me then. Tanguo wasn't afraid that she couldn't protect a little rabbit. After all, her cultivation had increased a lot recently. The cultivation of the original owner of this body wasn't weak. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been brought back by her master to cultivate and inherit his legacy. Besides, she still had a lot of cheats. It was more than enough to deal with the monsters inside the snake cave. She had been restraining her aura all this time, and didn't release the aura of a monster hunter. Therefore, the pythons inside the snake cave probably thought that a stranger had intruded. After walking through a long and dark passage, her eyes suddenly lit up. It turned out that this place had been chiseled open. The furnishings inside were very similar to the places where humans lived. However, there were still some places that were very big, resembling snake nests. When snakes slept, they would probably turn into their original forms, leaving behind their nests. Tanguo had already seen Lin Yikai. She wasn't surprised that he didn't die. Lin Yikai also saw her and revealed a happy expression. Tanguo was silent. This guy had reincarnated again, right? Was he that unlucky Lin Yikai? Host, you're saved. Your fiancé really does love you. She actually found this place. Calm. He thought that Lin Yikai would be locked in here for the rest of his life, unable to leave. Lin Yikai was also very excited. He shouted at Tanguo, "Save me, save me." Just as Tanguo was about to take 2 more steps forward, 3 huge pythons suddenly appeared in front of her and stared at her with their big heads. If it was an ordinary person, they might have fainted from fright. Tanguo carefully sized up the 3 pythons. She discovered that they were all monsters that were peacefully cultivating. They didn't have any human lives on them. So, why did they capture Lin Yikai and bring him here? If man-eating snake monsters were here, even 10 Lin Yikai wouldn't be enough to eat them. Why are you looking at me like that? Tanguo asked the 3 pythons. The 3 pythons were also very confused. They said in unison, "Aren't you afraid of us?" When Bai Yuming heard this, she felt that her previous experience was the wrong one. Peak. Chapter 51:10. Don't you know that I'm a monster hunter? Tanguo faced the 3 pythons with a smile and released the aura of a monster hunter. In that instant, the 3 pythons subconsciously stiffened. Monsters were naturally afraid of the aura of a monster hunter. Our family of 3 has never been to the human world. We've always been cultivating in the cave, hoping to become immortals and attain the Tao. The one who spoke was a male voice. The biggest python among them immediately transformed into his human form and cupped his hands towards Tanguo, saying, "We haven't harmed anyone, and we've never done anything evil. Grandmaster, please be magnanimous." The other 2 pythons also transformed into their human forms in front of Tanguo. One of them transformed into a middle-aged woman, while the other transformed into a little girl about the same size as Tanguo. The little girl hugged the middle-aged woman's arm and stared at her with curious eyes. "What's the matter with that person? He's a human. Why did you lock him up here?" Tanguo asked. Bai Yuming was also very curious about this matter. Even if she hadn't appeared, the pythons wouldn't have eaten Lin Yikai. From the looks of it, they only imprisoned him and didn't hurt him. Was there any other reason for this? She already recognized the python she met before. It was the little girl who stared at her and Tanguo curiously. If she had known earlier, she wouldn't have acted so hastily. It turned out that it was all a misunderstanding. What kind of bad intentions could that adorable little girl, who was blinking her eyes, have? In her first life, she must have been blinded by the lard of humans. That's why she went up and fought with them. This person was brought back by my daughter, Lan Ping said with an ugly expression. He was in danger in the mountains before, and it was my daughter who saved him. Otherwise, he would have already fallen off the cliff and died. After getting to know my daughter, they lived in the forest for a few days. Since the two of them became husband and wife, we naturally brought him back to get married. In order to make his stay here more comfortable, my wife and I even decorated the cave and exchanged some human items with other fairies. But this brat didn't know what was good for him and insisted on running out. He even deceived my daughter several times. Fortunately, we caught him and brought him back. If he is obedient, can we lock him up? Lan Ping's answer was something that Tang Gua and Bai Yuming did not expect. So, after Lin Yikai slept with her and found out that she was a snake demon, he didn't want to take responsibility and wanted to run away. Speaking of which, meeting a gullible little girl in the wilderness and coaxing her to sleep with him, wasn't that the behavior of a scumbag? Anyway, you can't take him away. He's my man now. When the young lady mentioned Lin Yikai, she was still a little nervous. I don't want to hurt him. As long as he's willing to marry me, I can still bring him home if he wants to go home in the future. However, he was obedient and ran away many times. I could only lock him down first. I didn't believe him when he said that he would come back after going back. The fairies who returned from the human world said that human ghosts are the best at deceiving fairies. Bai Yuming was in full agreement with Lan Ye's words. That's right, humans were the best at deceiving fairies. In her first life, she risked her life to save Lin Yikai. Watching her and Lan Yi fight to the death, Lin Yikai did not say a word. If Lin Yikai said that Lan Yi did not want his life and only wanted to bring him back, she would definitely not fight Lan Yi with her life. Chapter 51:11. However, Lin Yikai didn't. He didn't care that Lan Yi was his savior at all. Seeing that she was pretty, he coaxed her to sleep with him. After sleeping with her, he discovered that she was a snake spirit. In the end, he couldn't accept it and decided to run away. When she met Lan Yi, she should have been trying to capture Lin Yikai. Lin Yikai actually watched her kill Lan Yi without saying a word. In the past, when they were dating, he didn't reveal anything either. It was clear that no matter which life it was, Lin Yikai was a heartless and selfish person. So it's like that. Bai Yuming could think of it, so could Tang Gua. She didn't expect that there would be such a reason. Speaking of which, the hatred between Bai Yuming and the three members of the Lan family was rooted in Lin Yikai. This guy was really sinister. He really didn't say a word and just watched a rabbit and a snake fight from the side. Bai Yuming wasn't simple either. As a rabbit, she was actually able to defeat a snake and not get swallowed. Great Master, Lin Yikai promised to be together with my daughter. Little Yi treated him so well, but he actually wanted to run away. We can't accept this. Mother Lan said anxiously, if he didn't coax my daughter first, how could we have gotten involved with humans? Now that my daughter's cultivation has been ruined by him, we can only face this tribulation and cut off the relationship between them. Only then can she continue cultivating. If we let Lin Yikai go, my daughter will be ruined. This girl definitely won't stay here. She will definitely go out. Great Master is a monster hunter. You should know that the outside world isn't friendly to us monsters. The three members of the Lan family could already tell that although Tang Guo was a monster hunter, she was different from the other monster hunters they had met before. The monster hunters they had met before only wanted to kill monsters when they saw them. It didn't matter if they were good monsters or bad monsters. However, this monster was different. They had lived for a long time and knew that there was a faction of monster hunters. However, they didn't have that much prejudice against monsters. They secretly guessed that Tang Guo most likely belonged to that faction. If it had been any other monster hunter, they would have probably fought to the death today. Lin Kai, who was locked in the corner, was a little dumbfounded. His family had already explained everything. What else did he have to say? Host, I have a bad feeling that you won't be able to complete this mission. At this moment, 978 said, Tang Guo doesn't seem to like you, and that Bai Yumeng is also here. Something must have been changed by the heavenly Tao. I was wrong. The difficulty is not in this family, but in Tang Guo and Bai Yumeng. You shouldn't be able to handle this difficulty. Lin Kai, what's the point of saying so much? No, I'm just analyzing the outcome of the matter. After all, you've used up all 3 chances, and now you only have 1 life left. I don't think your life is a problem. You should think about how to live a better life. 978 said a little sadly, through binding you, I've come to a conclusion. When choosing a host, you can't just choose someone with good luck. You also have to choose someone with good character. If you only rely on luck, the heavenly Tao won't be satisfied. I'd rather help a hardworking, kind-hearted, stupid, and unlucky host than bind to a host like you, who is super lucky but has a terrible character. As the saying goes, if you do something bad, you will get retribution when it's time. The only reason there's no retribution is because the time hasn't come yet. Peak. Chapter 51:12. Lin Kai was about to die from anger. You said so much nonsense. If you want to be unbound, then hurry up and leave. You're also a trash system. You can't help it all, and you have a reason to complain about me. Do you think you're very powerful? You don't have any ability. I'm not as good as the system inside. I don't even know who you are. What kind of trash did you create? You're the kind of trash that people despise and throw away, 978 said calmly. If I could be unbound, would have done so long ago. Would I need you to tell me that? I'm trash, but you're even more trash than me. I'm trash, but I still use my energy to help you live for 3 more lifetimes. I even helped you inject emotions into your body. I used up most of my energy. In the end, you don't remember my good deeds at all. As expected, people like you don't deserve a chance to turn things around. From now on, don't talk to me. I won't care about you. When you die, I'll find the next host. Lin Kai cursed in his heart for a while. 978 really didn't respond. He was furious. However, he didn't know that 978 wasn't resting. Instead, it was sizing up the people in the cave. Its focus was on Bai Yumeng and Tang Guo. In his opinion, these 2 were very good choices. They didn't have much life experience, so they were easier to coax. If he coaxed them to do missions, they should be very happy, right? After all, he wasn't the only one who benefited. To them, it should be a good thing to be able to continue living. The conversation between Lin Kai and 978 was heard clearly by Tang Guo and the system. The system mocked. Host, that guy is most likely a wild system. It's not that bad. It probably doesn't have much life experience. Plus, it's trash. It was thrown away when it was created. If it was taught more, this guy could be considered a good system. Can you catch him now? Tang Guo asked. I can't guarantee that. 978's talent is escaping and hiding. If he wants to escape, we might not be able to catch him. This is a little complicated. Even if Host and I work together to seal this world, as long as he hides, we won't know where he went. Besides, we can't stay in this world forever. If he hides for a few hundred years, we can't wait until then. Then we'll think of a way later. Can we get in touch with him? Since you don't think he's a bad person, then you can teach him a thing or two. Otherwise, you'll be bound to some rotten people in the future. Okay. Tanguo walked in front of Lin Kai. Lin Kai showed some hope. Now, he did not expect Tanguo to like him and take him out of this damned place. Lin Kai, I'm here to look for you, Tanguo said bluntly. Uncle and Aunt Lin asked me to look for you. Lin Kai decided to put on an act. In any case, he and Tanguo were engaged. He could tell that the three members of the Lan family were still afraid of Tanguo's identity as a demon catcher. He planned to use this to help himself escape. He was the fiancé of a demon catcher. If the three members of the Lan family knew what was good for them, they wouldn't provoke a demon catcher, right? You're Tanguo? Lin Kai asked in surprise. Tanguo nodded. She knew what this rotten person was thinking just by looking at his expression. Luckily, she had settled the matter of the engagement before coming here. Otherwise, the three members of the Lan family might really ask Lan Yi to give up on Lin Kai because of this. Peak. Chapter 51:13. It was obvious that Lan Yi had truly fallen for Lin Kai. She wouldn't be able to see the truth if she hadn't suffered before. This was a tribulation she was supposed to face. Since they had bumped into each other, and since they had such a deep relationship, she might as well let this little snake spirit use Lin Kai to escape this tribulation. This rotten person was most likely only good for this. Lin Kai saw that Tanguo's expression was a bit cold. He said in a small voice, I don't know what kind of trick Lan Yi played, but I accidentally became infatuated with her. That's why those things that shouldn't have happened happened. After that, I kept thinking about running away. I know that I'm someone with an engagement. Perhaps he could still save her. In his previous life, he had such a bad attitude, but hadn't he still been able to lead Tanguo by the nose? At that time, he was still lovey-dovey with the little white rabbit. Tanguo didn't even say anything. She would do anything he asked her to do like an idiot. Who were the three members of the Lan family? They were snake spirits. Even though Lin Kai's voice was very soft, they still heard it clearly. When they found out that the demon hunter Tanguo was engaged to Lin Kai, their expressions changed. The Lan family couple looked at each other helplessly. If that was the case, then they could only watch their little girl and prevent her from leaving. It really wasn't worth it to lose their lives for a human. Since you brought this up, then I have something to tell you. Tanguo could feel the helplessness of the Lan family couple, as well as Lan Ye's anxiousness and unwillingness. However, they were still afraid of her aura and didn't dare to do anything. Originally, I came down the mountain to your Lin family to fulfill my master's dying wish. When my master decided on this marriage, I didn't have any intentions of objecting. However, when I arrived at the Lin family, I understood that we weren't suitable for each other. Your social circle is too messy. You change women every month. I don't think you're clean. I can't accept such a fiancé. I heard that there are all kinds of strange illnesses nowadays. I don't want to be plagued by those strange illnesses. It will affect my cultivation. Therefore, I propose to Uncle Lin and Auntie Lin to cancel the engagement. Lin Kai quickly said, No, I. Before he could say the word disagree, he was interrupted by Tanguo. We have already discussed it peacefully. Uncle Lin and Auntie Lin also said that a forcibly picked melon is not sweet, and agreed to cancel the engagement. Currently, the engagement token has been exchanged into each of our hands. Then, let me correct you, there is nothing between us. If you really want to talk about relationships, then it's because I want to fulfill my master's last wish and protect the bloodline of your Lin family. Since you're the only one in this generation of the Lin family, it's my mission to keep you alive. When Tanguo said this, her gaze fell on the three members of the Lan family. You don't have to worry. Since Lenikai and your daughter have such a disaster, they will definitely overcome it. He has done everything, so he must be responsible. You don't need to worry about me. I have nothing to do with him. I just hope that you can abide by your duties like before and cultivate seriously. Don't hurt the innocent. That way, you can become immortal sooner. Speaking of which, the original owner of the body still owed them. The Lawn couple had died in her hands. All of this was caused by Lenikai. The three of them were really unlucky. She was the one who paid this debt. She just wanted to ensure that their family of three could live peacefully and become immortals in this life. After hearing this, the three members of the Lawn family heaved a sigh of relief. This monster hunter was really polite. Lan Yi also became happy. Great Master, are you saying that you won't care about me and Lenikai? He brought this disaster upon himself. As long as you don't harm his life, I won't care. I want to be with him. Tangua's gaze became serious. Are you sure? This person is very dirty. Chapter 51:14. In his previous life, he did indeed like to bring all kinds of women around. Although he wasn't sick, he would still do regular checkups. I don't care. I want to be with him. He said that he wants to be with me. Lan Yi was very persistent about this matter. If he doesn't like living here, I can accompany him to the human world. The Lan couple's expressions changed. The human world was a very dangerous place. It wasn't suitable for them to live in. Dad, Mom, I want to be with him. He said that he wants to be with me forever. Lan Yi pulled the Lan couple. No matter how they tried to persuade her, it was useless. Little Yi, you also heard what Grandmaster said. That person isn't clean. He has many women outside. If you really go back with him, he won't treat you well. Lan Yi said fiercely, I'm a snake spirit. If he doesn't treat me well, I'll raise him up high. The Lan couple, by Yumming, almost jumped up. So in her first life, when she met Lan Yi in her original form and pestered Lenikai, she was actually raising him up high. The Lan couple wasn't afraid that Lenikai would do anything to Lan Yi. They were worried that Lenikai would find other monster hunters to deal with Lan Yi. How could an ordinary human hurt their daughter? Their daughter's nature wasn't bad. She had been cultivating with them since she was young. They often told her not to hurt the innocent. They believed that she wouldn't cause trouble. At this time, the Lan couple's gaze fell on Tangua. They knelt down in front of Tangua. Grandmaster, we have a request. We hope that you can help us take care of our daughter. We only ask that Grandmaster can protect her life. You don't need to care about anything else. The two of us are willing to give all of our collection to Grandmaster. Tangua knew this. This was exactly what she wanted. Sure. Since this debt was caused by Lenikai, we can't just leave like this. In that case, let Lan Yi go back with him. With me here, you don't need to worry. Her life won't be in danger. Thank you, Grandmaster. The Lan couple were straightforward people. They quickly took out their collection. Tanguo randomly picked a fruit and told them to take back the rest. The two of them didn't understand. However, since the demon catcher had already promised them, they believed that Tanguo would definitely do her best. Walking out of the snake demon cave, Linikai's expression was crumbling, especially when Lan Yi was still hugging his arm, making his scalp go numb. This kind of snake spirit that focuses on cultivation is very pure. You deceived her, this is the cause. She will follow you from now on, this is the effect. As for when it will end, we'll have to wait for the day when she comes to her senses, Tanguo said to Lenikai. She was as methodical as the person in his memory, giving him a headache. No wonder he didn't like this kind of inflexible woman in his previous life. She wasn't gentle, she wasn't cute, and she spoke so bluntly. Who would like her? Lin Kai didn't say anything. Obviously, Tang Guo wouldn't be tempted by him. And that Bai Yuming, why was she by Tang Guo's side? If he had been saved by Bai Yuming, things would not have been so troublesome. How hateful, how hateful. What was he to do now? He should go home first. Staying in that pitch-black cave almost suffocated him. Lin Kai, are you tired from walking? Do you want me to carry you? Lan Yi asked. Bai Yuming held a piece of grass in her mouth and said disdainfully, "You're still a man. What's the point of being carried around by a woman? You can't even endure this little bit of hardship, yet you still dare to walk around. It's all thanks to the little snake spirit that you're still alive. This can be considered fate," Lan Yi said shyly. "Little white rabbit, you're right. If I hadn't found him and brought him up, even if he didn't fall to his death, he would have starved to death at the edge of the cliff." Lin Kai, what a headache. Chapter 51-15. When Lin Kai returned safely, Mr. and Mrs. Lin rejoiced and asked about Lin Kai's well-being. They also noticed Lan Yi, who had been hugging Lin Kai's arm. Seeing this little girl's adorable appearance, the two of them understood that Lin Kai had probably coaxed her again. This son of theirs just couldn't stay still for 2 days. Fortunately, he had already broken off his engagement with Tang Guo. Otherwise, this scene would be so awkward. The two of them secretly looked at Tang Guo's expression. Seeing that she was the same as before, not angry, they finally relaxed. "Ikai, who is this?" This little girl had been following Lin Kai. It seemed that she was planning to follow them home, so she had to ask more questions. Sigh. "Hello Auntie Lin, I'm Lan Yi, from the mountains." Lan Yi introduced herself politely. "I'm now dating Lin Kai. He told me that he would be with me in the future." Bai Yuming added, "Speaking of which, if Lan Yi didn't save Lin Kai, he would have either starved to death or fallen off the cliff." Bai Yuming's words changed the way Mr. and Mrs. Lin looked at Lan Yi. If that was the case, then they really needed to thank this little girl. "This isn't the place to talk. Let's go back first," Mr. Lin said. Everyone agreed, so they all boarded the helicopter and returned home. Lin Kai was now complaining incessantly. He had no interest in falling in love with a snake spirit. He understood himself very well in his previous life. Whoever saw the true face of a snake spirit wouldn't be able to live with her. In the afternoon, everyone returned to the Lin family. Mrs. Lin wanted to arrange a room for Lan Yi, but Lan Yi refused. "I want to stay with Lin Kai. He used to stay with me at my house." Mr. and Mrs. Lin were speechless. Their son was too much. This little girl from the mountains didn't know anything. How could she trick someone like that? But they didn't know that Lin Kai was dizzy and only wanted to refuse. Tang Guo didn't care about Lan Yi. She could do whatever she wanted as long as she didn't hurt anyone. She just wanted to keep the other party alive. Moreover, she didn't think that Blue Leaf would necessarily lose out. Letting the other party torture Lin Kai a little longer was also a good thing. As soon as Lin Kai came back, Lin Kai's father decided to let him take over the company. This made Lin Kai very happy. If he was busy with the company all day, he wouldn't have to deal with Blue Leaf. He could eat and live in the company. Right now, he really didn't have any interest in women. There was no way he could woo Tang Guo. Even 978 had fallen out with him. In the past 2 days, he had called 978, but the other party had not responded. It was most likely that she had really given up on him. Since that was the case, he could only live his last life well. Lin Kai hid in the company and didn't see Lan Yi. Lan Yi also didn't have the intention to make trouble. He saw that Lan Yi was obediently staying at home and didn't cause trouble for him, so he didn't care about this matter. Little did he know that Lan Yi had left a mark on his body. As long as he had intimate actions with other women, Lan Yi would be the first to know. This mark was a kind of sorcery. When the time came, it would have some effect. Lin Yikai didn't go out to mess around. He went to work obediently. Lan Yi was too lazy to care about him. As long as she stayed at home, it was fine. Another reason was that Bai Yuming pulled Lan Yi to go shopping all day and be some human girl. Chapter 51:16. Daoist priest, how did you know that I'm possessed by demons? Lin Yikai was pleasantly surprised. He did not expect an expert to come to him. He secretly rubbed his hands together. If this Daoist priest could take away the 2 demons in his house, he would be relieved. You have the mark of a demon on you, the Daoist priest said. Also, I can see 2 types of demon aura around you. Have you met someone recently? Daoist priest, can you really take in demons? Lin Yikai asked urgently. To be honest, there are 2 demons living in my house. However, as a normal person, I can't do anything to them. In order to avoid them, I rarely go home. They haven't done anything yet, but I don't know if they'll do anything in the future. Daoist priest, since you can tell that I'm possessed by demons, can you help me get rid of them? That's why I'm here. When I passed by your building, I felt that it was unusual, so I came up. My intuition was right. You're possessed by demons. Chenjua said. Sizzle. Lin Yikai immediately understood that this Daoist priest could help him get rid of the demons. Daoist priest, as long as you can take away the 2 demons in my house, you can ask for anything. Also, I'll give you 2 million. What do you think? Chenjua's eyes flashed. His expression was calm as he said, let's talk about it in detail. Those 2 demons are quite skilled. I'll need some preparation before I can take them in. Demons have a very sensitive sense of smell. I can't go to your house. They'll run away as soon as they smell me. Then, I won't be able to catch them. Then what do you plan to do? I plan to set up a formation in the suburbs where there's no one. Then, you'll lure them there. As long as they're lured into the formation, they won't be able to use their powers. It'll be easy to catch them. Lin Yikai's face was filled with joy as he agreed. Alright, Daoist priest. I'll cooperate with you. Chenjua nodded. Then I'll go find a place to set up the formation. Just wait for my notice. Daoist, I'll ask the driver to follow you. If you need anything, you can let me know at any time. At this moment, Lin Yikai couldn't wait for Chenjua to take Bai Yuming and Lan Yi away as soon as possible. Before Chenjua could leave, Lin Yikai suddenly said, Daoist, one of the demons is a snake demon. Her parents are both python demons. If they know that I'm cooperating with you, they'll definitely come for revenge. Oh. There are actually 2 python demons. Chenjua couldn't hide the excitement in his eyes. Don't be afraid. We'll deal with the younger one first, and then we'll deal with the elder one. If they are too powerful, I will call some people over. If they dare to come, I will make it so that they will not be able to return. Hearing Chenjua's words, Lin Yikai was completely relieved. That's good. I'll get rid of them all in one fell swoop. System 978 stopped the conversation between Lin Yikai and Chenjua and could not help but say, at this point, 978 was filled with regret. It was because it didn't have any experience in controlling living creatures that it picked Lin Yikai as a scumbag host. It had done a lot of harm. No, now it was self-inflicted. It's none of your business. Lin Yikai retorted bluntly. Chapter 51:17. Go out to play. Lan Yi was very surprised. Lin Kai, have you thought it through? You actually want to bring me out to play? Where are we going? Although Lan Yi looked very innocent on the surface, after Bai Yuming had taught her all kinds of evil in the human world and showed her all kinds of television dramas where humans deceived fairies, she was now very alert. From the fact that she did not pester Lin Kai and instead went out shopping with Bai Yuming every day, it was obvious that she was no longer obsessed with Lin Kai. Lin Kai said, "You've been here for so long, don't you want to go out? Don't you feel bored staying at home all day?" Bored? Lan Yi was puzzled. Why would I be bored? I have activities every day and my schedule is full. I'm not bored at all. Lin Kai was speechless. The culprit, Bai Yuming, ate her ice cream silently and even took one for Tanggua. She whispered in Tanggua's ear, "I think Lin Kai definitely has bad intentions." Do you believe me? You're saying he wants to harm Lan Yi. That's right. Bai Yuming whispered, "My hunch is very accurate. This person is scum. He's up to no good. Ms. Bai, Ms. Tang, do you want to go out to play?" Lin Kai suddenly changed the topic to Bai Yuming and Tanggua. He had already asked the Taoist master. His array formation was very powerful. As long as demons entered the array formation, they would be at his mercy. Even if someone wanted to do anything to them, they would not be able to do anything. To avoid arousing suspicion by only inviting Bai Yuming and Lan Yi, he decided to invite Tanggua as well. This way, the two fairies would definitely not suspect anything. When they arrived at their destination, he would lure Tanggua away and let the Taoist master capture the fairies. Where are we going? Tanggua asked. We're going to have a picnic in the suburbs. Didn't my parents and your master promise you to protect me? I want to go out and I'm afraid something will happen. It's safer if you come with me. That way, what happened last time will not happen again. Tanggua nodded gently. All right, I'll go with you. Then I'll go too. It's not fun to leave me alone at home. Bai Yuming said. Seeing that Lin Kai was talking to Lan Yi again, she whispered to Tanggua, "This guy won't even let me off." A few days later, Lin Kai drove Tanggua and the others to the outskirts for a picnic. Lan Yi sat in the front passenger seat. Lin Kai thought that Lan Yi would chatter all the way, but he didn't expect Lan Yi to only lower her head and play games. She didn't seem interested in him. He observed Tanggua and Bai Yuming from the rearview mirror and realized that Bai Yuming had been looking at her beautiful nails. They were long and had red nail polish. There was even a small, shiny diamond on the nail. What about Tanggua? She sat upright and still. No one knew what she was thinking. She was still wearing that inconspicuous but somewhat unique Taoist robe. Next to her seat was the long sword that never left her side. To be honest, Lin Kai was a little nervous when he looked at Tanggua. When he observed Bai Yuming, he didn't know why he felt a chill down his spine. He quickly retracted his gaze and focused on driving. From time to time, he would glance at Lan Yi who was playing games. He heard the sound of Lan Ye's character successfully killing an opponent. He wished he could cover his ears. 2 hours later, they were almost at their destination. Lin Kai had put a lot of thought into choosing this place. I've booked this area. No one else will disturb us today, Lin Kai said to everyone. Miss Tang, do you know how to fish? There's a pond over there. You'll be in charge of fishing today. How about it? Chapter 51:18. Tanggua nodded. No problem. Tanggua took the fishing rod and walked to the pond. Lin Kai was relieved. It was indeed easier to trick people from the mountains. However, He didn't know that Tangua, who was fishing by the pond, put down the fishing rod and threw the bait. Then she took out her phone and sent a message in the 3-person group. This 3-person group was made up of Tangua, Bai Yuming, and Lan Yi. This group was created by Bai Yuming. She felt that Lin Yikai, this bad guy, must be up to something, so she created this group so that she could inform him of any news. Tangua, there's an array on the hill over there that's specifically targeted at you. It's the legendary demon sealing array. Once you step in, you won't be able to use your demonic power and will be beaten back to your original form. By Yuming, I knew Lin Yikai was up to no good. He asked us out to play because he wanted to set a trap. Lan Yi, why would Lin Yikai do that? By Yuming, what else? He thinks that you're pestering him and keeping him from being free. Didn't I tell you before? Ordinary humans would rarely accept living with fairies. The power of the fairies was something that they envied, but also feared. Because he's afraid, he wants to get rid of you. Lan Yi, I didn't want to hurt him. I just followed him home. By Yuming, that's why inexperienced fairies like you are the easiest to trick. His feelings for you started from your appearance and ended with your true identity. Lan Yi, Sister Tang, what should we do? Actually, I've thought it through. I'm not an idiot. If a person keeps rejecting me, how can I not know that he doesn't like me at all? Besides, there are so many fun things in the human world. Even if I want to live in the human world, it might not be for him. If I don't live with Lin Yikai, I can go shopping, eat good food, chase celebrities, and play games. Tangua, he wants to kill you. Do you hate him? Blue Leaf, I can't say that I hate it. I'm still a little disappointed. Little White Rabbit has taught me a lot during this period of time. She's made me understand a lot of things. After a while, I plan to go back and visit my parents. I want to bring them to the human world for a walk. Then, I'll go back and focus on my cultivation. Sister Bai, do you still have more of the bracelets you gave me that can conceal the aura of fairies? Can you give me 2 more? Tangua, of course. She didn't expect Lan Yi to figure it out so quickly. Speaking of which, it was all thanks to Bai Yuming. Bai Yuming also gave Tangua a smug look. In any case, she was already living her 3rd life. For an ignorant little girl to give up on someone who didn't like her was something that could be done in a matter of minutes. Tangua, later, Lin Yikai will probably find an excuse to lure you over. I'll teach you how to change the formation over there. The 2 of you, come to me immediately to get the spirit stones. When the time comes, you can use them to change the array formation. After seeing this message, the 2 of them put down the things in their hands and quickly ran to Tangua's side. Not long after, Lin Yikai said to Lan Yi and Bai Yuming, mushrooms will grow over there every time it rains. Come with me to pick the mushrooms. Bai Yuming and Lan Yi looked at each other. They were looking forward to seeing the effects of the modified formation. With great anticipation, they took the basket and followed Lin Yikai to pick the mushrooms. Both of them were fairies. Their movements were extremely fast. Lin Yikai was an ordinary person and couldn't detect them at all. As for that demon catcher Chinjua, he was afraid that his aura would be exposed and alert the 2 of them. Therefore, he was quite far away and couldn't see them at all. Peek. Chapter 51:19. Lin Yikai saw that the 2 did not doubt him at all and followed him into the array formation. His nervous heart relaxed a lot. After today, these 2 demons would not live in his house, and he could live the rest of his life in peace. Lin Yikai, you said there are mushrooms here. Where are they? Lan Yi looked around for a while and did not see any mushrooms. She turned around and asked Lin Yikai. Yeah, where are the mushrooms? Bai Yuming pretended not to know anything and asked the same question. Lin Kai looked around. He was actually looking for Chinjua. When he saw Chinjua coming down from the hill, he was delighted. Lin Kai, what did you do? Lan Yi asked angrily. She pretended that her demon power was sealed by the array formation and questioned Lin Kai. Bang! Lin Kai threw the basket. You are a demon, and I am a human. How can we be together? I already said we are not suitable, but you insisted on pestering me. I have a home and can't go back. What do you think I am doing? I just want you to leave. But you are the one who asked me to be with you. If you didn't want me to be with you, would I force you to be with me? Lan Yi asked, puzzled. Yes, it was Lin Kai who provoked her from the beginning. She didn't understand those things at all. If it wasn't for Lin Kai coaxing her, she would only save them and turn around to leave. She wouldn't be entangled with him. On the mountain where the three of them lived, humans would often get lost. Her parents had told her since she was young that she could not hurt innocent people. Otherwise, they would not be able to cultivate and become immortals. So every time they saw someone get lost, they would use spells to lure them out. She had also used spells to lure the people who came in with Lin Kai out. If Lin Kai had not provoked her, pestered her, and coaxed her, they would not have been fated to be together. Why was he blaming her in the end? Was this the scumbag that Little White Rabbit was talking about? Lan Yi secretly nodded. This was indeed a scumbag. Don't waste your breath on them. Chinjua had already walked over. When he saw Lan Yi and Bai Yuming struggling, he could not hide the excitement in his eyes. Leave these two fairies to me. Lin Kai cupped his hands. Thank you, Taoist priest. Please make them disappear from my sight forever. No problem. However, as soon as Chinjua finished speaking, a lot of white fog appeared in front of him. Chinjua shouted, Monsters, stop struggling. This is the demon locking formation. After saying that, he made a hand seal and the white fog in front of him dissipated. He immediately saw Blue Leaf's position and rushed over to attack him. Very quickly, Blue Leaf was locked up by him. When he went to catch the other fairy, he realized that there was no trace of her. Chinjua furrowed his brows. After searching for a long time, he had no choice but to leave with Lan Yi. He didn't want to stay here for too long. According to Lin Kai, there was a monster hunter over there who had a good relationship with these two monsters. Next to the pond, Blue Leaf held his chin. Big Sister Tang, will Lin Kai be beaten to death? No, he'll only suffer a little. When the monster hunter discovers that he's Lin Kai, he won't take his life. However, they should be able to find him. Tanggua said they won't discover him so quickly. Before they do, Lin Kai might suffer a little. Bai Yuming, Big Sister Tang, you're really too amazing. You only had us throw a few small spirit stones and you actually changed the demon sealing formation without them noticing. System, heh, the host has even more amazing tricks. After living for so long, isn't it normal to have some tricks up your sleeve? Big Sister Tang, can a fairy like me learn this kind of formation? Bai Yuming asked expectantly. Lan Yi was also looking forward to it. I want to learn it too. Big Sister Tang, can I learn it? Of course. I'll write down some of the formations for you guys to study on. Tanggua was just speaking when Bai Yuming's expression suddenly changed and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Tanggua hurriedly grabbed her wrist and discovered that her heart had been damaged. Chapter 51:20. She took out a pill and fed it to her. What's going on? Big Sister Tang, something happened to my big brother. Bai Yuming's mouth was full of blood. She grabbed onto Tanggua with all her strength. Please, help me. Big brother must have encountered danger when he came to find me. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have stayed here. I should have gone back earlier. That way, Big brother wouldn't have encountered any danger. Bai Yuming cried sadly and anxiously. In her previous 2 lives, her big brother had never encountered any danger, so she didn't care about this. Only now did she understand that every life couldn't be exactly the same. There were many things that could happen that couldn't be predicted. When it happened, it would be too late to regret. Don't panic. Can you sense your big brother's direction? Bai Yuming hurriedly nodded. Yes, yes. I can sense his presence. He's very dangerous right now. To be able to send such a signal to me, it should be because he used a secret technique. His Yao core has already shattered. Big sister Tang, please help me find my big brother. Alright. Since you can sense it, let's go. Tangua didn't hesitate. Can you sense his range? Bai Yuming, he should be in the human world. Big brother most likely came to the human world to find me. Perhaps it was because he had encountered those monster hunters. Ordinary Yao hunters can't do anything to him. It's very likely that he encountered a group of them. Although Bai Yuming's heart meridian was damaged, it didn't affect their speed. Tangua even gave her a pill, which healed her injuries by more than half. She didn't have the time to be curious about how miraculous that pill was. Right now, she only wanted to find him immediately. Next, Bai Yuming sensed her big brother's direction. Tangua and Lan Yi followed her. With their speed, they traveled very far in just a few hours. At this time, they had already arrived at a seemingly abandoned village. From the appearance of the houses in this village, it was obvious that no one had lived here for a long time. The houses were collapsed, and wild grass grew around them. We're almost there. I can sense Big Brother's location. Almost there. Bai Yuming said with a look of relief. Big Brother is still alive. There was no need for Bai Yuming to say anything. She could already smell the stench of blood and a thick demonic aura. She followed the scent and quickly ran over. Soon, she arrived in front of a tall old house. This old house didn't seem to have suffered much damage, perhaps because the materials used to build it were different. She didn't see any monster catcher in this place. Therefore, she guessed that Bai Yuming's elder brother must have used a secret technique to shatter his monster core to escape to this place. Given the other party's current situation, he should not be able to walk anymore and could only hide in this place. However, hiding here was only temporary. The monster hunters that wanted to harm him would catch up to him sooner or later. Bai Yuming was one step ahead of Tangua. She rushed into the gate of the old house and ran towards the direction of her brother's aura. She didn't sense the presence of the monster catcher. Therefore, as soon as she entered the room, she shouted, Big brother, where are you? How are you? With Bai Yuming's loud voice, her elder brother naturally heard it. Just as Bai Yuming finished speaking, a male voice sounded, Little Meng, why are you here? Big brother, I feel that something has happened to you. What's going on here? Did you meet a monster catcher? I'm here to bring you back. It didn't matter that his monster core had shattered. As long as her elder brother was still alive, everything was fine. Chapter 51-21. Xiaomeng, you go first. Those monster hunters will catch up to us soon. Let's split up. Bai Yuming said, No, you're lying. You just want to trick me into leaving first. Big brother, don't worry. I brought a friend with me to help you. I brought a very powerful monster hunter with me. Yi Tang thought to himself, Are you serious? My little sister brought a monster hunter with her to help. Did this girl hit her head when she went out? Yi Tang sniffed carefully. Sure enough, He smelled the aura of a monster hunter. Whoosh! At this time, Bai Yuming had already found Yi Tang's position. Tanghua and Lan Yi followed him in. The first thing they saw was a Buddha statue, and that monster hunter was right behind the Buddha statue. After the three of them entered, Bai Yuming hurriedly said to the Buddha statue, "Big brother, you should come out first. Our speed is very fast, and we should be able to avoid those monster hunters with you. As long as we go a little deeper, those monster hunters won't dare to chase after us." Bai Yuming didn't need to say anything. Yi Tang was already planning to walk out from behind the Buddha statue. His little sister had brought a monster hunter with her, so what was there to be afraid of? The monster hunter outside had the aura of a monster hunter, and he didn't dislike it. Since he didn't hurt his little sister, he wasn't necessarily a bad person. When Yi Tang walked in front of the Buddha statue, Bai Yuming hurriedly ran over. Looking at the big gray rabbit in front of the Buddha statue, she burst into tears. Yi Tang asked, "Why are you crying?" "Big brother, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have run around. If you hadn't come to look for me, my monster core wouldn't have shattered." Yi Tang said, "I didn't come to look for you." Yi Tang's words stunned Bai Yuming. She wiped her tears. If he wasn't here to look for her, why did he come to the human world? "I just wanted to take a stroll in the human world. I didn't expect that the monster hunters outside would be so unfriendly." Bai Yuming said, "So it was because you ran around that you almost died and became rabbit meat?" "You can say that." Yi Tang's gaze fell on Lan Yi and Tanghua behind Bai Yuming. Lan Yi was a monster. He could still feel that Tanghua's aura of a monster hunter was very strong, and it wasn't the kind that made people hate her. The vigilance in his eyes. Bai Yuming hurriedly said, "Big brother, this is big sister Tang. Her full name is Tanghua, and her profession is a demon hunter. She's not the kind of demon hunter that we usually encounter. She won't harm good spirits." Tanghua. The vigilance in Yi Tang's eyes disappeared. Of course, he was now a rabbit in his original form, so not many people could see anything from his eyes. "Hello, demon catcher. My name is Yi Tang." When Tanghua heard this name, she walked closer and stared at the big gray rabbit on the incense burner table. "Your name is Yi Tang. Are the two of you siblings?" Bai Yuming replied, "I followed my mother's surname." Yi Tang nodded. "I follow my father's surname. My father is Black Rabbit. My mother is a White Rabbit." Bai Yuming continued. "Then my brother neutralized it and became a gray rabbit. We have a younger brother, a black rabbit." Tanghua looked at the big gray rabbit and saw that it was staring at her without blinking. Even though its monster core had shattered, it was still very calm. This reminded her of that person. She couldn't help but reach out and pat its head. "Then let's go first. Otherwise, the monster hunters will come soon." Yi Tang, "Okay, I'll listen to you." Thus, Tanghua grabbed the rabbit's ears and lifted the big gray rabbit called Yi Tang up. She carried it in her arms and turned to walk outside. Chapter 51-22. Bai Yuming retracted her hand. Just now, she was still thinking about what to say to make her big brother agree to be carried away. Big sister Tang was indeed different when she made a move. Needless to say, her big brother didn't seem to have any intention of objecting. Bai Yuming watched as Tanghua carried her big brother and hurried away. She even patted his head from time to time, and her big brother didn't resist at all. She was terrified. No way. Could it be that her big brother's temper became better after his monster core was shattered? What scared her even more was that her big brother actually fell asleep while being hugged by big sister Tang. He didn't seem to be on guard at all. Just now, wasn't he questioning big sister Tang's identity as a monster hunter? How could he be so relaxed now? Sizzle. This was too strange. Bai Yumming couldn't help but fill in the blanks. In the end, she looked at Tangua's face and froze for a moment. Big brother couldn't have been captivated by big sister Tang's beauty, right? Heavens! Her big brother was actually attracted to monster hunters. How come she didn't notice it before? Not even 5 minutes after Tangua and the others left, a group of monster hunters rushed into the house where Yi Tang had been hiding. They've already escaped. There's more than one monster's aura here. They haven't gone far. Hurry up and chase after them. But it was already too late by the time they wanted to rush out of the house. Tangua had left a formation plate in this place to prevent these people from chasing after them. It was a trapping formation, enough to keep them busy for several days. She walked at a moderate pace while carrying Yi Tang. Seeing that Yi Tang had already fallen asleep, she took out a medicinal pill and put it in his mouth. Yi Tang immediately woke up. Seeing that it was the pill she had stuffed into his mouth, he immediately swallowed it. His ears, which were originally erect, also softened as Tangua stroked them. Tangua said, "Not bad. It feels good to the touch." "Tongzi, you're getting carried away." Tangua returned with Yi Tang. She was a bold person, and she wasn't afraid of being chased by monster hunters. If those monster hunters knew what was good for them, they'd better not provoke her. As for Lin Yikai, whom Chinjua had mistaken for Lan Yi, he was brought back to his residence by Chinjua. He was tied to the side and saw Chinjua looking for materials with his own eyes. He guessed that Chinjua was planning to use him for alchemy. After collecting all the materials, Chinjua decided to dig out the Yaocore first. Aiming at Lin Yikai's dantian, he dug into Lin Yikai's dantian. And this scream also caused the illusion in front of him to disappear. Chinjua also saw that it was Lin Yikai in front of him, not the snake spirit blue leaf. Chinjua's expression changed drastically at that moment. He was wondering why he didn't take out the Yaocore. It turned out that this Lan Yi was a fake. Someone had used an illusion to turn Lin Yikai into Lan Yi. "Boss Lin, why are you here?" Lin Yikai was in so much pain that he almost fainted. "I kept shouting that it was me all the way." "You got the wrong person. Didn't you hear me?" Chinjua's expression was awful. "I think the two demons are too strong. They saw through my formation and fooled us. I couldn't hear the truth of your words. I only heard a snake spirit struggling all the way here." Lin Yikai's back was covered in cold sweat. Were those two demons really that scary? He didn't suspect Tangua at all. After all, Tangua was beside the pond at that time. There was no way that she could have reached this place. "It looks like I won't be able to get rid of those two demons by myself. I'll have to ask other monster hunters for help." Chinjua's expression was very serious. Lin Yikai said, "Can you take me to the hospital first? If I don't go now, I'm going to die from excessive blood loss." Chapter 51-23. Tangua brought Yi Tang back to the Lin Yikai's house. Ever since the Lins handed over the company to Lin Yikai, they saw that Lin Yikai was doing a good job, so they let him go and went traveling when they had nothing to do. He just went out a few days ago and probably wouldn't come back for a few months. Therefore, even if Tangua brought a rabbit back, no one would ask anything. Buzzed it even if Lin Yikai didn't show up for a while, no one asked anything. Lin Yikai's life was definitely not in danger. As long as Chinjua touched Lin Yikai's blood, the illusion would be broken. As for when Lin Yikai would come back, it would depend on Chinjua's eagerness to dig out the monster core. She didn't expect that Chinjua would be so eager to dig out Lin Yikai's monster core on the same day. Before Lin Yikai was sent to the hospital, he informed the company's assistant that he had something to do. Guo also received a call saying that Lin Kai was in surgery. Knowing that his life wasn't in danger, she didn't plan to see him. Lan Yi and Bai Yuming were very interested and wanted to see how Lin Kai was doing. However, they were afraid that Chen Zhuo would catch them if he found out. Therefore, they looked at Guo with pleading eyes. Guo had no choice but to go with them. Of course, she had to take Yi Tang with her in case something happened while she was away. Those monster hunters were trapped in that house and probably wouldn't come out for a while. She put a collar around Yi Tang's neck to hide his monster aura. Bai Yuming found that her brother didn't even resist. She said that he was hopeless. Her brother had actually let the monster hunters put a collar around him. He had completely fallen. Yi Tang noticed Bai Yuming's strange look, but could this be compared to the joy he felt when he found his wife? Not to mention a collar, he would have no problem putting a collar around his neck. In this life, he awakened the memories of his previous life not long ago. He searched the fairy lair for a while and found no sign of Guo. He guessed that Guo might be in the human world, so he came to the human world. He didn't expect that he would run into a group of monster hunters as soon as he came out. They seemed to be having some kind of meeting. He was quite unlucky to have been surrounded by dozens of monster hunters. In the end, he had no choice but to shatter his monster core and escape. If Guo had come a little later, he might have really died. Some of the methods and magical treasures of demon hunters were innately effective against demon spirits. There was nothing that could be done about it. In the hospital, Lin Kai had just woken up. Before he could feel the pain in his abdomen, he felt several pairs of eyes looking at him. He looked up and saw that it was indeed Guo and the others. Lin Kai looked at Lan Yi and Bai Yuming with some fear in his eyes. Bai Yuming looked at him with a smile, while Lan Yi looked at him with a meaningful gaze. This made him shiver all over. Then, he realized that Guo had closed the door of the ward. He was very anxious in his heart. Where did that Chinzhuo run off to? Why wasn't he by his side at such a critical time? Lin Kai, I advise you to behave. Don't think about things that you can't do. If something like today happens again, I think it will be very difficult to save your life. Guo warned. She was obviously telling Lin Kai that she knew everything that had happened before. Lin Kai glanced at Guo and saw that she was still hugging a gray rabbit. The rabbit even glanced at him with a contemptuous gaze, making him very angry. Lin Kai, are you trying to collude with monster hunters to harm us? Bai Yuming sat on the edge of the bed. You can't do this kind of thing again. This time, your dantian was dug out. Who knows what will happen next time? Chapter 51-24. By the way, the doctor just told me that although the operation was successful and your life is no longer in danger, you might not be able to have children due to the severe injuries. Lan Yi added, so, don't seek death. I've thought things through. Since you don't want to be with me, then forget it. Nothing forcibly done is sweet. I'm planning to go back soon, so I won't bother you anymore. Lin Kai hadn't recovered from the first sentence. Hearing Lan Ye's words, he didn't know how to react. He didn't care about children, but whether or not he cared was one thing, and whether or not he could have children was another. Where's Daoish Qin? Lin Kai remembered that Chinzhuo hadn't appeared yet and hurriedly asked. It was a good thing that the fox wasn't bothering him anymore. In fact, he was also a bit scared. These two fox spirits weren't easy to deal with. This should be the difficulty that the Tao of Heaven increased for him. However, he clearly didn't plan to woo Guo, so why were there so many twists and turns? Because you sought death. If you sought death, would it be like this? 978 couldn't help but say. Lin Kai was about to die from anger, but he didn't refute. Tangua said at this time, "Your injuries were caused by Chinjua. The police took him away just now. He wanted to use his unnatural ability to escape and even injured the police. Fortunately, I met him and sealed his power. Right now, he should be brought back to the police station. He'll be charged and sentenced later. Injuring an ordinary person, almost causing you to bleed to death, and attacking a police officer. These are enough for him to be sentenced to a few decades in prison." Lin Ikai. What? So, Chinjua couldn't help him at all. Lin Ikai still didn't want to give up. He was still angry. After meeting these three people and the fox spirit, he hadn't had a good day. He didn't believe that in this world, Chinjua was the only Daoist hunter who could help him. He planned to visit Chinjua when he got better. "I want to rest for a while. You guys can leave." Lin Ikai looked a bit tired. "Since you're not bothering me, I won't look for a Daoist hunter." These words were directed at Lan Yi. Of course, he was just bluffing Lan Yi. Chinjua definitely knew a lot of demon hunters. When the time came, he would go over and ask for information. Tangua knew what he was thinking when she saw his expression, so she didn't expose him. He wondered what kind of method those monster hunters would use to save Chinjua once they learned about his situation. After leaving the hospital, Tangua said to the two of them, "Do you want to go with me or go back to the Lin family first?" "Bai Yuming, Sister Tang, what are you going to do?" "I'm going to the police station to file a report. Didn't I reveal some of my tricks when I caught Chinjua? That's why I need to file a report. Also, they seem to want to talk to me about something. Maybe I can get a job." Bai Yumeng and Lan Yi looked at each other. That was pretty good. Tangguo also felt that it was quite good. It was much more convenient to live in the human world like this. She did not need to find other jobs to earn money. It was quite satisfying to live off the government system. "I'm so envious. I wonder when the boss of the Spacetime Bureau will return and give him a number or something." Tangguo went to the police station and displayed her abilities. As expected, she was valued and received a job. When the police were handling cases, they would indeed encounter some bizarre situations. At such times, they would need a special person like Tangguo to help them. They knew about the existence of monster hunters. However, they had to spend a lot of money to hire them every time. Those monster hunters had their noses in the air, making them feel helpless. They had no choice but to hire them. Moreover, some monster hunters didn't care about the rules. Due to their strength, they had no choice but to compromise. Tangguo knew about this. Therefore, she wanted to break the monopoly of monster hunters. Who told them to provoke her first? That rabbit in her arms. It was unknown when it would be able to cultivate a new monster core. Chapter 51-25. How are you? Tangguo stroked Yitang's rabbit ears. She felt that the current Yitang was quite cute, especially the gray fur that seemed to be of high quality. It was soft and shiny, and she couldn't bear to part with it. Yitang felt it. "I'm okay." Yitang leaned against Tangguo and said lazily. He had found his wife and even acknowledged her. He was not afraid of anything now. He just needed to slowly recover his cultivation. Tangguo suddenly remembered that Yitang was a rabbit demon now. "Do you eat rice or vegetables?" This question really stunned Yitang. If it was about eating something, eating rice was not a problem, but if there were vegetables and radishes, he would still prefer them. Perhaps the rabbit's taste was different. He could not help but feel hungry when he saw the green leaves. "Let's go to the market. You can pick whatever you like." Tangguo picked Yitang up and carried him. "It's my first time raising a rabbit. I don't have much experience." Gua. Yi Tang was helpless, but he did not want to refute. His demon core was shattered and he was seriously injured. He could not maintain his human form yet. How does it feel to be a rabbit? Tang Guo was curious. Do you feel the danger of being eaten? Yi Tang said, Gua, although I can't maintain my human form now, ordinary people can't do anything to me. If they dare to attack me, they will know what a man-eating rabbit is. Let's go pick something to eat first. Tang Guo did not tease Yi Tang anymore. She carried him out. When they walked out of the room, they bumped into Bai Yuming, who was watching TV downstairs. Bai Yuming saw that Tang Guo was carrying her brother out and quickly caught up. Sister Tang Guo, where are you going with my brother? Yi Tang, we're going to the market to see if there are any fresh vegetables and radishes. I don't know what his taste is, so I'll take him to choose. Tang Guo explained. Bai Yuming understood. She secretly glanced at Yi Tang, who was motionless in Tang Guo's arms. She held back her smile and returned to her seat. Then I won't go. You guys go ahead. After leaving the Lin family, Tang Guo did not take the car. She chose to walk. She also wanted to chat with Yi Tang. When did you arrive? Some time ago, I suddenly awakened the memories of my previous life. At that time, I was wondering if you existed in this world, so I searched for you in the territory of the fairies for a long time, but there was no trace of you. Later on, I guessed that you might be a human and went to the human world. Yi Tang said, I didn't expect my luck to be so bad when I went down the mountain. I just so happened to run into dozens of demon hunters who were having some kind of meeting. I didn't have time to conceal my aura and was discovered by them. Those monster hunters are a bit extreme, and the stench of blood on their bodies is very strong. When they encounter monsters, regardless of whether they are good or bad, they will immediately shout and kill. There are many monster catchers in this world who catch monster spirits, not because they want to eliminate evil and uphold justice, but because they want to obtain the monster spirit's inner core and refine it into medicine to improve their own cultivation. Tang Guo explained, that's why they don't care whether the monsters are good or evil, and will kill them on sight. Monster hunters like me who inherited this sect are extremely rare, and they even ostracize us. Gua, is Lin Yikai still the Lin Yikai from before? It's him. Do we have some kind of ill-fated relationship with him? Tang Guo shook her head. Then, she nodded. To be more precise, we have some ill-fated relationship. However, this person has committed too many sins, so we probably won't meet again in our next life. Yi Tang was not happy. After all, this meant that they might not be able to continue their previous relationship. Chapter 51-26. Tang Guo brought Yi Tang to the market and bought a bunch of vegetables and radishes according to his taste. It was worth mentioning that the owner of a stall even told Tang Guo to buy some lettuce with a smile. He said that the braised rabbit was the best. Yi Tang's ears perked up. That owner was too naive. Did he look like a rabbit that was about to be slaughtered? When they passed by the slaughtering stall, many people stared at Yi Tang in Tang Guo's arms. Some people even asked her where she bought such a big rabbit. When they walked out of the market, Yi Tang told Tang Guo that he would not go to the market anymore. Tang, don't be afraid. I won't eat you. Tang Guo said with a smile and stroked Yi Tang's head gently. You're so obedient now. Who would want to eat you? System, dear host, I heard that rabbits are very timid. Don't scare them. Tang Guo brought back a bunch of vegetables and radishes, but Lan Yi and Bai Yuming violated the rules. She did not stay in the living room for long. She chose to go back to her room. She cast a cleaning spell on the vegetables and radishes and then piled them in front of Yi Tang. Yi Tang was indeed a little hungry. He held a radish and started to gnaw on it. Tangua could not help but take out her phone and record him gnawing on the radish. Is it fun? Yi Tang, who was in his rabbit form, gnawed on the radish and stopped to look at Tangguo with his big eyes. He looked serious and scary. I've never raised a rabbit before. I want to record this very precious scene. Yi Tang had nothing to lose. She was his wife anyway. She could take pictures if she wanted. Tangua not only recorded the video, but also took a few cute pictures and sent 2 of them to the 3-person group. Tangua, cute, right? Bai Yuming. Lan Yi. Bai Yuming and Lan Yi looked at each other in the living room. They did not know how to express themselves. My brother has fallen. He's acting cute to attract the opposite sex. Look at how focused he is on gnawing on the radish. He even secretly glances at Sister Tang. Lan Yi, do you have other cute rabbits like this in your house? Introduce one to me. I heard you have a younger brother. It's a black rabbit. We can get to know each other when we're free. She didn't expect that rabbits could be played like this. She wanted to try it too. Bai Yuming rolled her eyes. My brother is only 7. It doesn't matter. I can wait for him to grow up. Fairies have long lifespans. I'll go over and see him more often. I can even cultivate feelings in advance. Does your brother also like to eat vegetables and carrots? I'll bring some to him someday. There are many varieties of vegetables and radishes in the human world. By the way, I plan to go back in 2 days. Lan Yi suddenly said, I have to tell Big Sister Tang about this during dinner. This time, I want to bring Mom and Dad out to play. After that, our family can cultivate seriously. When Lan Yi left, Tangua gave her 2 aura-concealing bracelets. Not only could the bracelet conceal demonic aura, it was also a defensive Dharma treasure. Since she said that she would help the 3 members of the Lan family cultivate to become immortals, she wasn't just saying it for fun. Along the way, she gave Lan Yi a cultivation manual for fairies so that she could bring it back for her family of 3 to cultivate. Big Sister Tang, this is too expensive. I can't accept it. No matter how stupid she was, she knew how precious this cultivation manual was. You have to accept this. Consider it as a way to settle the grudge between us. With this secret manual, your family of 3 will be able to cultivate more smoothly. Chapter 51-27. I hope that you won't forget your original intentions. Cultivate diligently and become immortal soon. Lan Yi didn't understand what she meant. Bai Yuming, who was standing at the side, had a pensive look on her face. Could it be, so everything that had changed wasn't because of her efforts alone? Big Sister Tang was also involved. The person who had hidden the deepest was actually her. No wonder she felt that everything was going too smoothly. How could everything go according to her plan just by moving her lips? The Tangguo from her previous 2 lives was indeed a little stubborn. She definitely wasn't as clear-headed as she was now. She also didn't do things as decisively as she did now. She even caused Lenny Kai to suffer losses time and time again. The Tangguo from her previous 2 lives definitely wouldn't do anything to Lenny Kai, unless the other party was the same as her. Bai Yuming saw that Tangguo was glancing at her, so she quickly retracted her gaze. She didn't intend to expose this matter. It was fine as long as she understood. Big Sister Tang was obviously very interested in her big brother. Perhaps it wouldn't be long before she had a monster hunter as her sister-in-law. Speaking of which, it was really exciting. She was a rabbit spirit, a monster spirit. She actually had a monster hunter as her sister-in-law. This was all thanks to her big brother. Her big brother was really shameless. He actually shamelessly acted cute to woo her. Tangua didn't know what Bai Yumming was thinking, but she could guess a little. After sending Lan Yi off, she sat in the living room. Yi Tang was lying in her arms, cultivating. Life was very pleasant. Tangua felt that since she had come to this world, she couldn't just leave empty-handed. She had to do something. After some understanding, she found out that the monster hunters of this world were a very tyrannical group. Sometimes, when they took measures, even the law couldn't stop them. Many times, they destroyed public facilities in order to catch monsters. There was no way to ask them for compensation. In fact, there weren't many monsters in this world that harmed people. Many of the more experienced monsters would warn their children not to go to the human world. It was easy to meet those monster hunters. Most of the monsters that went to the human world were young ones. Bai Yumming was curious about the human world and secretly went there. It was fine if they didn't meet a monster hunter. But if they did, they might not be able to go home. If the demons in his family knew about it, they would definitely come out to take revenge. As for those monster hunters, they used the name of catching monsters, but in reality, they treated the monsters as cultivation resources. They even had an alliance of monster hunters. Of course, the monster hunters of her sect didn't join that alliance. Her master hated the monster hunters alliance very much, and disdained to associate with it. Her master claimed to be a demon hunter, but in reality, she had never seen her master catch a demon even once in her memory. When she was very young, she was always brought to help people with feng shui and exorcism. When she was young, she even asked why they were demon hunters and how did they catch demons. Her master said, "Demons don't harm the innocent, so why should we capture them?" This world was not just the world of humans, but the world of all life. If a fairy were to harm the innocent, she would be punished by the heavens and would never be able to become an immortal. As for us demon hunters, if we were to harm the innocent, it would be the same. There would be a day when our cultivation of the Tao would stagnate. Recently, Tangua had also noticed that it was very difficult for the monsters to survive. Those monster hunters were tyrannical in the human world, and no one was able to restrain them. Therefore, she decided to cooperate with the authorities and come up with a plan to restrict supernatural abilities. When she told them about this idea, the police were very surprised and excited. A few days later, a person in charge of this matter came to talk to her. This person actually had some cultivation. However, compared to those monster hunters, he was very weak. Chapter 51-28. Hello, Miss Tang. I'm Qin Chong, the person in charge of the supernatural department. I heard that you wanted to cooperate with us. Qin Chong couldn't be considered young. He should be around 40 years old. However, one could see that he was very hopeful about this matter. In fact, there were also some people with cultivation in this department. But compared to the huge team of monster hunters, they weren't enough. Sizzle. This department was established by him. He was originally a righteous person. Then, he accidentally came across an incomplete book and used it to cultivate. After that, he passed it down to some of his disciples. However, cultivation was something that depended on one's innate talent. Very few people were able to cultivate it. Up until now, the number of people in his department didn't exceed 20. Previously, they had encountered some special problems and had even sacrificed a few people. This made his heart ache. It wasn't that they hadn't thought about cooperating with monster hunters. In fact, they had cooperated before. But every time, the price they asked for was very high. However, they had no other choice but to agree. Moreover, when those monster hunters caused trouble, they couldn't do anything about it. They could only clean up the aftermath. And now, a powerful monster hunter had finally taken the initiative to cooperate with him. How could he not be happy? Yes. I have some things I want to discuss with you. What do you think about the monsters of this world? Chin Chong was a bit confused. Why were they talking about monsters? However, he still followed his own thoughts and said, "What are you talking about, Miss Tang?" At this time, he noticed that Tang Guo was holding a gray rabbit in her arms. The rabbit was looking at him with an unperturbed expression. It really resembled a human. That's right. Do you think monsters should be captured? Chin Chong was a bit confused. Why would a monster hunter ask such a boring question? This question was indeed very difficult for him. If he answered this question truthfully, he might offend this monster hunter in front of him. It's fine as long as you answer truthfully. Miss Tang, what do you think about the people of this world? Are there good people and bad people? Of course, the bad monsters should be captured and punished. But those good fairies, they do their duty as fairies and don't harm anyone. Why do you want to capture them? You are a human. Why are you speaking up for the monsters? To tell you the truth, I was once saved by a monster. At that time, I was on a mission. If it weren't for that monster's help, I might have already died. It was then that I realized that humans and fairies are similar. There are good ones and bad ones. He also knew that demon hunters had to kill every demon they encountered. If there's a chance for you to cooperate with the fairies and give them official identities and rights in the human world, what do you think? It was impossible to cultivate so many people with high cultivation in such a short period of time. It would be better to integrate the fairies and let the humans and fairies work together. With the addition of fairies, whether it was humans or fairies doing evil, the efficiency of the task would be greatly increased. This way, the fairies would have the opportunity to come to the human world. This time, Chin Chong was completely shocked. So this was what the demon catcher meant. If Miss Tang has the ability, of course we are willing to cooperate. I can immediately ask the higher-ups to discuss this matter. Then you can go back and discuss. I have confidence on my side. She had enough confidence to handle this matter well. After Chin Chong left, Tang Guo asked Yi Tang, "What do you think of this?" That's good. In the future, I won't have to hide when I go out. It's much more convenient to have an official identity. Chapter 51-29. I think your sister is very suitable to be the representative of the monsters. Anyway, she likes to play. Let her go back and talk about this matter. If the monsters are willing to come out, we'll issue them an ID card. As for those who don't want to come out, just forget about it. Yi Tang agreed. That's good. Tang Guo chose Bai Yuming to be the representative mainly because she was a monster and could live for a long time. As long as she was alive, there would be no conflicts between the two sides. After learning about Tang Guo's plan, Bai Yuming was also very excited. She said that she would go back and announce the good news so that the monsters could consider this matter carefully. After Lan Yi and Bai Yuming left, only Tang Guo and Yi Tang were left. On the other side, Chin Chong was also discussing this matter. Of course, they agreed with the cooperation between humans and monsters. However, this matter wasn't simple. They needed to consider it carefully. As for Lin Yikai, after 10 days, he had no problem getting out of bed. He planned to go and see Chinjua. From Chinjua, he learned about the identities and contact information of some monster hunters. Chinjua's cultivation had been sealed by Tang Guo, so he couldn't escape on his own. He could only rely on Lin Yikai. Lin Yikai was recuperating in the hospital. He arranged people to look for those monster hunters. At this time, those monster hunters had also escaped from the old house. They were angry that they couldn't catch that rabbit. Lin Yikai's people found one of them, Zhang Huang, who had a good relationship with Chinjua. Zhang Huang was one of the closest people to Qinzhua. When he learned that Qinzhua's cultivation had been sealed and locked up, and that he was going to be sentenced, he was furious. He hurried to the hospital to see Lin Yikai and heard what had happened from Lin Yikai. Those people were really bold. They actually dared to interrogate the people of our Monster Hunters Union. Zhang Huang snorted coldly. Obviously, he didn't care about the order of this society. You said you have 2 monsters in your house. Lin Yikai didn't like Zhang Huang's tone, but he was more afraid that the monsters would continue to live in his house. They were here before, but they left recently. I don't know where they went. However, I do know the hometown of that dog. If you're interested, I can take you there after I recover. Alright, then we'll catch them all in one fell swoop. Judging by your tone, the other party is quite strong. Let's get Qinzhua out first, then we'll go catch the monster. In Zhang Huang's opinion, since he had already found the nest, there was no need to rush. When the time came, they would have more people to snatch, and the 3 pythons would all be able to get something. Lin Yikai's heart relaxed. In fact, he just wanted to vent his anger. He felt that he had been too sullen recently. 978 looked at him and didn't even have the thought of reminding him. He just silently watched Lin Yikai court death. It was obvious that there was something wrong with this world, but he insisted on going against it. If he didn't die, then who would? The way Zhang Huang saved Qinzhua was to first expose his identity and arrogantly ask the police to let him go. Otherwise, the anger of the League of Monster Hunters was not something ordinary people like them could bear. In addition, he told the news to the other monster hunters. The other monster hunters immediately called Qin Chong and threatened him. They didn't seem to be polite at all, making Qin Chong almost die from anger. There was no time to discuss other matters. Qin Chong came to look for Tanghua. No need to release him. I'm also a member of the police station now. I'll go to the police station and set up a formation there so that those who dare to kidnap people won't be able to leave. I'll seal whoever comes. You just have to wait and see. Qin Chong's nervousness turned into astonishment. He accidentally saw the disdainful expression of the gray rabbit, and his face turned red. He suspected that this rabbit was a monster. Gua said it's okay, so it's okay. You don't have to question it. Who was talking? Qin Chong's gaze fell on the gray rabbit. Was it this rabbit? I'm the one who sealed it. They won't be able to open it. You can do whatever you want. Tanghua took out a dozen yellow talismans and handed them to Qin Chong. Take this. It's a defensive talisman. When you're outside, you'll have to deal with those monster hunters. Stick one on each of you. It won't be a problem to save your life. Qin Chong hurriedly took it. He would be a fool if he didn't want this thing. However, he didn't understand why Tanghua was opposing those bad-tempered monster hunters. From the looks of it, she was determined to make them suffer. Chapter 5130. Daoist Zhang, we really can't let him go. Not only did he deliberately injure people, but he also attacked our police officers, causing several of our officers to suffer fractures. They are still lying in the hospital. This is no longer a matter of feelings. Daoist Zhang has already violated the law. Therefore, we are going to detain him according to the procedures. As for the final result, we'll have to wait until the verdict is issued. Please understand that we will handle this matter fairly. These words were the most unyielding words Qin Chong had spoken in recent years in front of Zhang Huang and the other monster hunters. Zhang Huang was furious. In the past, he would never have dared to offend Zhang Huang and the others like this. Zhang Huang's face turned gloomy. You really don't want to give us any face. I know a monster hunter has joined you. But don't forget that all the famous monster hunters in our Monster Hunters Union have Bai Lai Hao. She's just a monster hunter in her early 20s. How can she help you? Moreover, she hasn't even joined the Monster Hunters Union yet. She's just a mediocre monster hunter. Qin Chong said, Daoist Zhang, we're just following the rules. If we don't follow the rules, nothing can be accomplished. If everyone did what Daoist Qin did, the world would be in chaos. Humph, I think you're all thinking that your wings have hardened now that you've found a backer. Zhang Huang felt very sullen. At first, he thought Qin Chong and the others were just putting on a show for them. But now, he realized that the other party was serious. They didn't give him any face at all. Zhang Huang left and returned to the Monster Hunters Union not long after. Then, he reported the situation to the other monster hunters, causing them to become angry. Several people immediately responded to Zhang Huang's call, saying that they were willing to go with him to rescue Qinzhua. Some people also tried to persuade Zhang Huang to wait and see. But Zhang Huang felt that he had lost face and was eager to teach Qin Chong and the others a lesson. He didn't want to think too much. As far as he was concerned, Tang Guo was just in her early 20s. Any one of them here was no match for her. That night, Zhang Huang led 5 or 6 monster hunters who had the same idea as him to the police station to rescue Qinzhua. Since these people thought that monster hunters were easy to bully, he wanted to let them see what it meant to slap their faces. Zhang Huang led his men into the police station openly. He glanced at everyone in disdain. He had casually used 2 small tricks, but no one came forward to stop him. He sneered. He grabbed a random person and asked about Qinzhua's whereabouts, but he didn't know that the person had already been informed. He just needed to tell Zhang Huang and the others the truth. However, Zhang Huang thought that these people were afraid of his strength, so he brought his men and followed them. After they went in, the remaining police officers looked at each other. In fact, they were all wondering if the array set up by Tang Guo would work. As it turned out, it worked. When Zhang Huang and the others saw Qinzhua and were about to take him away, they found a lot of police officers around them pointing their weapons at them. Zhang Huang laughed loudly, what a joke. With that said, he was about to recite the incantation to cast the spell. However, as soon as he did so, he discovered that he couldn't use his spiritual energy at all, as if it was locked by something. The expressions of Zhang Huang and the other monster hunters changed greatly. Then, he shouted, retreat. Something is wrong here. However, it was already too late. This was the array set up by Tang Guo especially for them. It was a trapping array, a spirit-locking array. Since they couldn't use their spiritual energy in this place, they had no choice but to compromise. Chapter 51-31. Daoist Zhang, you held a police officer hostage and tried to kidnap a criminal suspect. We are now arresting you according to the law. Zhang Huang and the others were handcuffed. Fearing that something might happen, the police officers drove to pick up Tang Guo that very night and began to seal the cultivation of Zhang Huang and the others. Tang Guo looked at Zhang Huang's flushed face and neck, and the corners of her mouth curved into a smile. However, when Zhang Huang saw the gray rabbit in Tang Guo's arms, his eyes widened. Even if you have supernatural abilities, you still have to follow the rules. Since many people can't control themselves, humans and monsters will soon form a joint department. Your Monster Hunters Union shouldn't be interested in joining, right? It's not easy to join either. You need to pass a very strict test. However, if people with supernatural abilities want to move unimpeded in the human world, they still need to make a record. The place where ordinary people live is not easy. Otherwise, people with supernatural abilities might cause destruction, and that would be a tragedy. Zhang Huang opened his eyes wide. He really wanted to scold Tang Guo for being shameless. However, no matter how many times he chanted the incantation, it was to no avail. Bang! His face sank. He had a premonition that if he didn't stop this matter, the Monster Hunters Union would cease to exist. I want to hire a lawyer. Zhang Huang shouted. It wasn't that he didn't know about this rule of the human world. It was just that he didn't want to talk about it because of his supernatural abilities. Hearing this, Tang Guo and the others laughed. That's your right. The next day, the other members of the Monster Hunters Union received news that Zhang Huang and the others had been arrested for kidnapping people and would face prosecution. What should we do? It seems that the police are in trouble this time. Yeah, Zhang Huang and the others are quite strong, but they were arrested without a sound. This matter isn't simple. Union head Cui, what should we do? Cui Qing was the current leader of the Monster Hunters Union. At this time, he frowned and said, this matter isn't easy to deal with. Judging from the current situation, that monster hunter is very strong. If we send people over, they will most likely be locked up. But we can't just do nothing, right? Someone said anxiously. Cui Qing raised his eyebrows. What do you think we should do? Charge over with everyone. Are you confident that you can save her and escape unscathed? Cui Cheng's words really made people speechless. They said they wanted to seek justice, but they didn't have the courage to break into the police station. Then what do you think, Alliance Master? I don't have a choice, but I know that if we go against them at this time, they will definitely shoot the bird that sticks out. Maybe they are waiting for us to go over. All we have to do now is wait. If we don't do anything, they can't do anything to us. Also, we'll capture our own demons. In the future, we'll behave ourselves in the human world and mind our own business. Some people were unwilling, but no one was willing to break into the police station. Zhang Huang and the others had already fallen into the trap, and they could not guarantee that they were stronger than Zhang Huang and the others. Therefore, they all listened to Cui Cheng's words and no longer cared about this matter. They even rarely went out. As for Chenjua, Zhang Huang, and the others, when they discovered that the people of the League of Monster Hunters had no intention of saving them, their hearts turned cold. They still had to face the punishment of the criminal law. In the small dark room, they gnashed their teeth in hatred, but there was nothing they could do. Half a month later, Bai Yuming returned with a list of fairies who were looking forward to coming to the human world. Chapter 5132. Qin Chang's side had basically discussed how to cooperate with the fairies. Tang Guo directly introduced Bai Yuming to Qin Chong and asked the two of them to discuss in detail. Bai Yuming was not a simple fairy. She was a reincarnated person. Tang Guo believed that she would have a sense of propriety when discussing this matter. Another half a month passed, and Bai Yuming left again. This time, she returned quickly, and when she came back, she brought a group of fairies with her. These fairies were directly invited by Qin Chong to his department. He helped them to apply for legal ID cards and arrange their positions. Even if the fairies were unwilling to work, it was not a problem for them to apply for a legal ID card. They could apply for it first, and then go back to cultivate in seclusion. In the future, the human world would not be so troublesome. Bai Yuming was very active in handling this matter. She did not expect that she could do such a great thing. She completely legalized the fairies in the human world. They would no longer have to worry about being caught and hide. Swish! Tang Guo was also selecting some good seedlings and teaching them cultivation. In the future, this group of people would be the backbone of the human world. As the fairies came out to register in batches, Qin Chong was very excited. This was because many fairies had joined his department. These fairies were pure and cute. They were like blank pieces of paper. However, they were born smart and could learn many things as soon as they were taught. In particular, they were very efficient. There were very few of them who cheated. Their requirements were very simple. They were simply cheap and delicious cabbages. Of course, Chin Chong was just thinking about it. Those who worked seriously would still be treated well. Chui Cheng and the others did not know about this at all. Before Bai Yuming brought the fairies out, Tang Guo gave her a dozen talismans that could hide their aura. Therefore, the League of Demon Hunters did not know that the fairies had joined the special department and were currently working for them. Lin Yikai recovered and returned to the company to work. Not long after, Chui Cheng's people came to find him. They wanted to inquire about the Lan family. Lin Yikai was very happy to see so many demon hunters wanting to help catch the snake demons. He arranged the company's affairs and personally took Chui Cheng and the others to find the Lan family. Chui Cheng and the other members of the League of Monster Hunters had long forgotten about Qinzhua and Zhang Huang. Now, they only wanted to catch the 3 python demons and divide them among themselves to improve their cultivation. 978, who had been watching from the side, realized that Lin Yikai was simply incurable. He was truly ignorant back then, to actually choose a trash like Lin Yikai to be his host. Even if the other party's mission was successful, he guessed that the other party would not have a good ending. Fortunately, the Heavenly Dao's management was very timely, causing Lin Yikai to be plagued with disasters. He couldn't even complete a single mission. Lin Yikai, I can do whatever I want, why do you care? Besides, would accumulating merits allow me to have a next life? People say that accumulating good karma is for your next life. As someone who doesn't have a next life, of course, I'll do whatever I want. If it weren't for the Lan family, would I be in such a miserable state? What Qinzhua did last time not only made him lose the ability to have children, but also made him unable to touch women. As a man, this matter made him feel aggrieved. Chapter 5133. He also resented Qinzhua, but Qinzhua would be punished soon. He hated Lan Yi and Bai Yuming even more. If they hadn't used tricks, would Qinzhua have made him a cripple? He didn't know where Bai Yuming's hometown was, so he could only give up for now. He planned to take care of Lan Ye's family first. Sooner or later, you'll be killed by your own actions. I don't think you'll succeed. Heaven knows you've done bad things and will punish you in various ways. Just wait and see. Trash system, can you shut up if you can't help me? After being scolded, 978 stopped talking. This was the legendary trash host. He was so unlucky that the first host he found was such a trash. Was it really because he was a loser that he found such a trash host? Besides, Tangua had it easy. She fed the rabbits and taught her disciples every day. She had already moved out of the Lin family. Because of her special position, she was given a place to live. Recently, she hadn't seen Lin Yikai. She couldn't be bothered to care about him. With Lin Yikai's personality, he would definitely be killed by his own actions. Lin Yikai took the initiative to hide the fact that he was injured. However, such a big thing was still found out by Papa Lin and Mama Lin. They came back early. When they came back, they called Tangua and asked where Lin Yikai went. Lin Yikai has been living in the company. As for where he went, if it wasn't dangerous, he probably wouldn't ask me to follow him. Papa Lin and Mama Lin knew that they couldn't trouble Tangua. After all, Tangua wasn't their daughter-in-law. Thinking of Lin Yikai's injury, they quickly asked about the situation. I called Yikai's assistant. He stammered. Xiaogua, tell me honestly. What's the situation with Yikai? Mama Lin felt that Lin Yikai was hiding something. Tangua paused. Auntie Lin, it's better for Lin Ikai to tell you these things. This matter has a bigger impact. Just tell me. I don't blame you. What happened? Lin Ikai was attacked by a Taoist priest before. He might not be able to have children in the future. Tang Guo said truthfully, but he's fine. Mother Lin almost fainted and raised her voice a few decibels. What did you say? Can't have children. Which stinking Taoist dares to hurt the only child of my Lin clan? That Taoist priest has been arrested. I believe that he will receive the punishment he deserves soon. Auntie Lin, don't be too sad. If it doesn't work, you can always ask for another one. Tang Guo said bluntly, her left hand touching the gray rabbit lying on her lap. Mr. and Mrs. Lin were already used to Tang Guo's outspokenness, so they didn't think much of it. She was very angry at first, but when she heard Tang Guo's words, she calmed down. Since she really couldn't have children anymore, she could indeed consider having another one. No matter what, who would inherit the Lin family's huge foundation? Not long after the two sides ended the call, Tang Guo received another call. It was actually from Lan Yi. Lan Yi. Big Sister Tang, I'm here to report a case. A group of monster hunters didn't know what was right and what was wrong, and insisted on breaking into our house. Right now, they have already been subdued by our family of 3. It's all thanks to the formations Big Sister Tang taught us, as well as the secret book you gave us. Originally, I was planning to take my parents out to have some fun. But as soon as they saw the secret book, they couldn't put it down and pulled me to cultivate it. But who would have thought that monster hunters would come and harass us? Peek. Chapter 51-34. Earlier, I received a message from Little White Rabbit, saying that monsters can now openly walk in the human world. As long as they're legal monsters, they'll be protected. Therefore, we can't kill these people. After all, we have to follow the rules. We don't know who to call, so we can only call you. After hearing Lan Ye's sarcastic words, Tang Guo couldn't help but laugh. How many monster hunters are there? 7. Luckily, there are only 7 of them. If there were tens of them, even if our family of 3 has pretty good cultivation formations, it would be very difficult for us to deal with them. Lan Ye's voice was filled with pride and schadenfreude. This group of monster hunters who randomly caught monsters should all go to jail. Okay, I'll immediately inform Qin Chong to come over and take care of this matter. Okay. Big Sister Tang, hurry up. Right, that Lin Ikai ran away. That guy is really quick to hide. I'm too lazy to chase after him, so I don't know where he's hiding. I'm afraid that if something happens to him if I chase after him, won't I have to take responsibility for it? Tang Guo. Were all snake spirits this cunning? It seemed that regardless of whether one was a human or a monster, they had to see more of the world so that they wouldn't be so easily deceived. After ending the call with Lan Yi, Tang Guo contacted Qin Chong. After hearing the news, Qin Chong grinned. Ha ha ha, those monster hunters did something again. He waved his hand at the monsters present. Little ones, we have a new mission. This time, Miss Tang informed us that a group of monster hunters is harassing the home of the snake spirits and wants to kill them. They've already subdued the monster hunters and are waiting for us to go over and take care of them. The monsters were originally playing with their phones, but after hearing the news, they immediately perked up and said excitedly, "Boss, do you think we should go and catch the monster hunters?" Yes, we should go and catch the monster hunters. Qin Chong felt that this group of monsters was really easy to manage. They were pure and cute, and could help him do a lot of work as long as he coaxed them. All of them liked to hear praise and praise. Qin Chong led the group of monsters to meet with Tang Guo. Then, the group of people rushed toward the home of the 3 members of the Lan family. A few hours later, they arrived at the Lawn family's home. 7 monster hunters were tied up outside the entrance of a huge cave. Qin Chong naturally recognized that one of them was Cui Ching of the Monster Hunters Union. Cui Chang's face was pale. Obviously, he had been badly beaten. Lan Yi bounced over to Tang Gua and handed her a mobile phone. Before the conflict, I recorded it. This should be evidence that they broke into our house for no reason. Qin Chong raised his eyebrows. Were all the fairies these days so well prepared? He inspected the 7 monster hunters and found that none of them were in any life-threatening danger. This made things much easier. Bring these people back. Keep that phone well. It's all evidence. Cui Ching gritted his teeth. Qin Chong, what are you doing? Alliance Master Cui, the few of you tried to trespass into the fairy's residence. We're going to bring you back for interrogation. Qin Chong felt that the resentment he had accumulated for so many years had finally been vented. These arrogant monster hunters finally couldn't make him suffer anymore. In the future, no matter who they were, they would have to abide by the rules in the human world. No one would be able to mess around. Cui Chang's face flushed red. He was so angry that he almost exploded. When you have time, come to the department to get your documents and register your address. After that, we'll send you a house number. Qin Chong said to Lan Yi and her family. In the future, you can go to the human world unimpeded with your identification. However, there's one rule. You can't use your special abilities casually in the human world. If you're discovered, you'll be arrested and punished. The 3 members of the Lan family nodded repeatedly. The Lan family couple in particular hadn't expected that the human world would change so much in such a short time. Humans were actually standing up for the fairies. They no longer had to fear those monster hunters who casually killed fairies. The 2 of them understood that the one who had played a role in this was Tang Gua. Someone who could casually give away cultivation techniques was definitely not simple. Right, there's one more person who ran away. His name is Lin Ikai. He's the CEO of the Lin family. I suspect that he's the one who brought these monster hunters here. Lan Yi bluntly added, you should pay more attention to him. If he accidentally gets lost and gets eaten by those mindless wild beasts, it won't be my family's fault. My family of 3 is vegetarian. Peak. Chapter 51-35. Cui Ching and the others had their cultivation sealed by Tang Gua. Unless there was someone whose cultivation was higher than Tang Gua's, no one would be able to help them break the seal. Most of these monster hunters relied on external items to increase their cultivation, such as killing monsters to refine pills. Their foundations weren't stable at all. Although they could increase their cultivation quickly, they would soon reach the end of their cultivation, and would only dream of becoming an immortal. To put it simply, they wouldn't be able to make much progress in their lifetime, and could only rely on external items to cultivate. Plunder, plunder. Everyone else, go and find Lin Ikai. He's just an ordinary person in this deep forest. If he gets lost and encounters a wild beast, he won't have any chance of survival. When it came to personal preference, Qin Chong disliked Lin Ikai. However, as a matter of duty, some things had to be done according to the rules. If he knew that someone had disappeared here, he would definitely be responsible for looking for them. It's so big. Boss, just leave the search to us. The one who spoke was a young man who looked to be around 10 years old. He was quite handsome. He looked at the 3 members of the Lan family and said, I wonder if there's anything that Lin Ikai used here. Let me smell it. Lan Yi hurriedly nodded. There is. He used to live here for a while. Come with me. This young man was a dog spirit. He quickly went in and smelled Lin Ikai's scent. He then came out and said to one of the small monsters, "Brothering, we'll have to go together. You watch from the sky, and we'll go down to the ground to search. If there's any movement, let us know immediately." "No problem." Chin Chong didn't need to worry about how to find Lin Kai at all. The monsters excitedly dove into the grass and quickly ran away. Chui Ching and the others were dumbfounded. Perhaps everything that was happening in front of them was beyond their understanding. "Isn't that the rabbit she's holding, the same one we met last time?" someone whispered to Chui Ching. Chui Ching hadn't noticed it before, but now that he looked over, he discovered that it really was that gray rabbit. Thinking about what happened before, he felt quite annoyed. They had dozens of monster hunters, but they hadn't even been able to catch a single rabbit. It had even shattered its monster core and escaped. In the dark book warehouse, Chui Ching didn't dare to think about the rabbit anymore. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to solve his own problem. "Chin Chong, what exactly do you want?" Chui Ching couldn't help but ask. Chin Chong spoke in a businesslike manner. "You have violated the rules of peace between humans and pixies, so we must arrest you. As for what we will do with you, of course it will be governed according to the law. Don't worry, other than sealing your cultivation, we won't torture you. You know what I mean." Chui Chang's expression turned ugly. For better or for worse, he was a monster hunter. How could he not know that humans had to abide by the rules of peace between monsters? "If you have anything to say, say it when you get back. You have the right to hire a lawyer. However, this time, you trespassed into the residence of the fairies and even tried to kill them. Your crimes are very serious and you have evidence. You won't be able to escape punishment." Chui Ching, Tanghua and the others waited in the same place for about 30 minutes. Suddenly, there was some movement in the grass in the distance. A puppy jumped out, then the puppy turned into a human form. It was the boy from before. There was movement in the surrounding bushes. It turned out that the small demons who were looking for the person had all returned. Seeing that they didn't bring Lin Kai with them, Chin Chong asked in confusion, "Little Go, you didn't find him?" "Boss, we found him. Big Brothering brought him back. Look, Big Brothering is up there." Chapter 5136. The young man called Little Go pointed at the sky and grinned. "Luckily, we got there quickly. Otherwise, Lin Kai might really be dead." "What's going on?" Tanghua asked curiously. She looked up and saw that Lin Kai was wrapped in a piece of cloth, so she couldn't see what was going on inside. Lin Kai wasn't a threat now, and she couldn't be bothered to ask the system to observe him. She was curious if he was unlucky again. "I don't think he can keep his leg. When we found him, he just happened to encounter a tiger that was swinging his leg left and right. It's probably treating him like a toy. He's already fainted, and we've already stopped his bleeding. However, we still need to send him to the hospital as soon as possible. Otherwise, his life will be in danger." Everyone looked at each other, and the same phrase appeared in their minds. Was this what they meant by the evils they brought upon themselves? Chin Chong didn't like dead people, so he quickly ordered people to send Lin Kai to the hospital. Tanghua didn't go with them. Instead, she returned to her residence. Lin Kai was miserable enough now, so she didn't want to see him make a fool of himself. It was better for her to go back and teach her disciples. Because this world was a bit special, she hadn't received the reminder of the end of her lifespan yet, so she still had a long life ahead of her. A few days later, Yi Tang's parents and younger brother came to her house as guests. Yi Tang's father and younger brother were both black rabbits, and her mother was a white rabbit. The whole family was very close, and they had already heard about what had happened from Bai Yuming. When they first found out, they couldn't believe that their eldest son had hooked up with a demon hunter. Later, they heard that this demon hunter had actually helped the sprites obtain a certain status. Now that the sprites went to the human world, as long as they obeyed the rules like humans, they wouldn't be hated by everyone. If they had the heart, they could even get a proper job. As a matter of fact, they also wanted to live in the human world and experience what it was like. Most importantly, Bai Yuming told them that a demon hunter had made a mistake and was caught by a sprite to punish him. This news had spread among the sprites, and they all found it very novel. Demon hunter, wasn't that the same as catching sprites? This time, it was strange that a fairy could actually catch a demon master. Yi Tang's parents were not the only ones who had received the news. The other demons were also planning to get an ID card. If they could get a job, it would be good to live in the human world for a while. Yi Tang's parents were very grateful to Tang Guo for saving Yi Tang. Otherwise, they would have lost a son. As for whether the monster hunter and the rabbit spirit would be together, they couldn't be bothered to care. As long as they were happy, everything was fine. If it wasn't for this monster catcher, the demoness would still be in a very difficult situation. Father Yi did ask if Yi Tang wanted to go back to recuperate. The spiritual energy in the mountains is more abundant, so you can recover faster. Come out when you can maintain your human form. Otherwise, how can you attract the opposite sex when you look like a rabbit all day long? Father Yi winked and said, "Boss, don't you think so?" Yi Tang was gnawing on a carrot with relish. Father Yi didn't mind. Wasn't it normal for rabbits to eat carrots? Although he maintained his human form, he still coveted that radish. When Yi Tang saw this, he handed one over to Father Yi. "Dad, do you want some? This is a new variety. You definitely haven't eaten it before. This is a fruit carrot. It's crispy and delicious, and the taste is very different." Peak. Chapter 5137. Really? I was wondering why I haven't seen her before. Father Yi didn't hold back and started eating the radish. I'm serious. Go back and take care of yourself for a while. You can't fall in love with her in the form of a rabbit, right? As the saying goes, people rely on gold while rabbits rely on their good looks. Dad, I'll be able to maintain my human form in 3 years at most. If I go back, I'll need 10 years. 10 years. Do you know what that means? If you don't keep an eye on her, she'll be taken away by someone else. Father Yi frowned. That's right. He knew that humans fell in love relatively early. Wait, why do you need 3 years here? Father Yi reacted. Yi Tang snorted and took out a jade bottle and threw it to Father Yi. Look at what this is. If you drink this every day, how can you not recover quickly? Father Yi was shocked the moment he opened the jade bottle. What pure spiritual energy. This pill was a top-grade pill. He quickly closed the bottle and said in a low voice, I was wondering why you didn't want to go back. It turns out that you're here acting cute and living off a woman. Second brother didn't lie to me. It said that human girls like cute rabbits. Yi Tang held his forehead and put the jade bottle next to him. You're quite capable. You actually caught the eye of a demon hunter. I wonder what good things you did in your previous life. I don't have to worry about anything when I'm with her. You should work hard to recover and maintain your human form as soon as possible. We'll set a date. Dad, from what you're saying, are you leaving? No. Your mother, my youngest brother, and I plan to work in the supernatural department. Most demons didn't want to miss this opportunity. This was an open and honorable life in the human world. They were naturally happy that this department recognized them. The 3 of them left the next day. Yi Tang started eating radishes and taking pills to cultivate again. Basically, wherever Tang Guo was, he would be there. It was impossible for him to let his wife leave his sight. He had to maintain his human form as soon as possible. Guo how's that Lin Kai? Yi Tang suddenly remembered. Didn't Lin Kai say that he couldn't save his leg? Tang Guo, his leg can't be saved. He can only sit in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I heard that his temper became a bit strange. He shouldn't be courting death now, right? Probably. Even if he wants to die, those demon hunters wouldn't dare. They know what happened to Qin Qiao, Zhang Huang, and Cui Qing. Fetus protecting pill. My master has promised to protect the bloodline of the Lin family. The Lin couple have already given up on Lin Kai and are planning to raise a second child. The arrival of the second child had something to do with Tang Guo and her master. Therefore, Guo decided to make some pregnancy pills to prevent any accidents. She wanted this child to be healthy. No matter how much he fell, he wouldn't be hurt. Lin Kai would be pissed off. Lin Kai was indeed pissed off. He knew that his mother was pregnant with a second child at her age. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't walk, he would definitely rush over and question her. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.